What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into NYJ today.
What's going on?
Chad on my left. I've got Mike on my right. We are happy to see you guys, and we are ready to go. We are ready to talk Jets with you. Grant Rood, you are on time tonight. It is the first time I believe you've ever been on time, but we appreciate you being here nonetheless. Mike, how was your birthday, man?
I don't know what you're talking about. What is a birthday? What is
Just
that?
Tell me a little bit about your birthday.
My birthday was awesome, man. It was a me day, you know. It was a treat yourself type of day. Got up, just basically took care of myself, got a workout in. Just did a lot of busy stuff, man. Just a lot of little things. Had dinner in the afternoon. I met up with family, went over to Annapolis and got some good dinner at a steakhouse in Edgewater. So if anyone's in the Maryland area, strongly promote the good old American Steakhouse. That's a great place down there. And then pretty much laid low. So with COVID, and then I didn't really have the chance to plan anything or anything like that. It was a low key me type of day. So no Grant Roods, no no Robbie Oaks on my case. It was just me. So hey, I'm just kidding with you guys. I love you. So yeah, it was good, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate the birthday wishes. I appreciate you asking.
Yep, all good. And Chad, how are you doing today, man?
Good. I'm wondering if Mike and Grant Rood and Robbie Oaks spent the day together, what would they do? Skydiving, bowling?
It sounds like jerking off to shoes, actually, because they both were tweeting to each other about shoes. I just happened to see that they were tweeting each other about sneakers, like they were in high school.
Grant was awesome. Grant gave me some good comments, and I gave right back to him. But yeah, we probably would. We'd probably be cleaning shoes. We'd be cobblers, me and Grant. We'd be on the street cleaning people's shoes.
Sean, that is exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about Mike's belated birthday. He celebrated it with Grant Rood polishing shoes together. He says, Grant Rood says, beers, then beers. Then Mike passes out while I continue with beers. Grant Rood, what's actually scary about that is that's actually what happens with him. And he won't deny it because he can't.
I can't.
The man is as good of a drinker as he is. He gets a little bit sleepy. At the end of the night, he just tuckers out.
I'm like a little cuddly bear. I gotta find a good place to hibernate. Grant, you know what's up.
All right, so guys, thanks for coming in. Just a real quick reminder here, if you would like to call in, the number is going to be streaming across the top here. Any idea, just anything that's coming off the top of your head right now for this week that passed? We know Zach Wilson had like a little special yesterday on ESPN2. I watched it. There wasn't really a whole lot said. The only thing I noted was that Young did mention that he had spoken with, I think he had said like the quarterback's coach of the Jets, and just talking about how he's going to need to overcome adversity throughout his career, and he obviously is talking about the Jets. So
is he though? Because I heard that there was a report from Jason Luckemfora about the fact that, I don't know, this seems like conspiracy theory, but like that the Fields conversation is very much in play within Jets front office.
Whenever Luckemfora tweets, you can just count the opposite of happening. I mean, he is almost always wrong. Chad, what do you think about that one?
No, I agree. And I was going to ask, actually, can you think of a time in Jets history, not so much in draft history, but in Jets history, where there's been a worst, least kept secret? You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah.
When's the last time we knew this far in advance what the draft pick was going to be, where it did, like, if you noticed, we barely discussed Zach Wilson like over the past couple of weeks because it's just a foregone conclusion that that's the guy. Like I moved on to 23 and 34 and beyond because I'm not even like, when's the last time like we just really we were so sure who the guy was going to be?
This is, but I feel like I don't know. Maybe it's me and John, Chad. I think you met my dad when we were at the game together. John, you definitely met my dad. My dad is from Jersey and is your old school New York Jets fan, and what comes with that is a sense of resentment, is a sense of fear, is a sense of lack of self-worth, and I think that the confidence that you think the front office is going to make that choice correctly is not well supported when you look at the past on the way the Jets have handled the draft. And I'm not saying the Jets are so stupid that they. Well, one, I got to be cognizant of Grant and others. I can't. Maybe Robbie's was a Fields advocate, but I mean, we talk about Fields as if it's Trubisky, like Fields isn't a bad quarterback. It's the fact that we feel that the best talent is Wilson at that pick. So I'm not ragging on Fields, but what I'm saying is I don't think that the confidence in that it's a sure thing, you can really say that with the Jets front office based on the way we picked. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I don't think Chad's actually saying that. I think Chad's just saying that it seems like a foregone conclusion, not necessarily that we're going to hit a home run with this pick necessarily.
Oh, I see. I got you. So, okay. So Chad's saying, like, the stats, the data, the film show that it should be Zach. Whether we do it or not is up to fate, I guess, at that point.
So Sean Bennett throws a comment in. I do appreciate it. We were waiting for basically some comments here, guys. So Sean Bennett says, is Fields Haskins 2.0? I will defer to Chad first. Chad, what do you think? Haskins 2.0 or is he his own creature?
I hope he isn't. And believe me, I have Fields at like 1B for me. Believe me. I mean, I actually wanted Fields at the very end of our season until I started looking more at Wilson. And it's hard. It's always hard to tell with Ohio State because they kind of have that what I refer to as the Ohio State effect, which is where everybody is so good around them. Their supporting cast is always so good that it's just hard to tell how much of their success is based on their individual effort versus their line, their receivers, their tight ends, their coaches. I mean, they have the best of everything generally in their conference. I mean, you used to be able to say the same thing about USC and certainly can say the same thing about Alabama. So it's hard to tell, but I hope he does well. I like him a lot. I watched him on that, what was that Netflix series a couple years ago? Written by Peter Berg. Oh God.
Who are you talking about? Were you talking about Justin Fields there?
Yeah, QB1.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be successful. I mean, he looks good. And again, if it wasn't for Wilson, I would be on the Fields hype train.
I really like Fields. I'll let you talk a little bit, Mike. Do you think he's going to end up being one of those guys that's got, what seems to be a lot of talent? And of course, he does have a lot of talent, but is he one of those guys that's going to flame out real quick, kind of like a Dwayne Haskins?
No, I don't. I mean, I was with you when we watched the championship game against Clemson, and I was big on the Fields train after that game. I thought the way he played that game really showed to me with the pressure could walk right into the NFL and handle that. Those intangibles, I guess, is the best way. I think he showcases he has intangibles. I think he's going to do just fine in the NFL. I agree with Chad 100%. He is 1B. And in which case, anyone who gets Fields, I think is going to be just fine. Barring any injury or anything like that. I think he's going to be just fine in the NFL. For us, it just comes down to who's the better pick at 2, not necessarily who's getting a good quarterback and who's getting a bad quarterback. So that's how I see the situation.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. I don't know what the measure would be to like sit here and say like who's got the highest bust factor. I do not think it's Justin Fields. I think of all the quarterbacks right now, I'm actually most concerned with Trey Lance. due to the fact that he has not played enough college football, and that's a big thing. That's one of the big determining factors in will you survive in the NFL.
I'm concerned about Mac.
There are some. I mean, there's been a lot of people talking lately about him as maybe being the most pro ready, which I don't know if I see that, but there's a lot of people on his side. A lot of people like Mac Jones coming out of Alabama. I just don't think that he's an elite prospect. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see him as an elite prospect, a quarterback prospect. Sure, does he have some upside? Absolutely. Could he work out? Of course. I just don't see him as an elite quarterback prospect. So, Grant Rude said, "Did you guys hear Joe Blewett says Clemson wasn't a very good defense?" I will actually side with Joe here. I'm not going to sit here and say that Clemson's defense is not very good, but their defense had a down year this past year comparatively to what they had been in years past. They still have a very, very good defensive coordinator there at Clemson, so it's not really one of those situations where they're just trash. But I'd say it's fair to say they're not an elite defense. And having said that, he still earned what he did in that game. He was dominant. Justin Fields earned everything in that football game. So that is not a knock on him. I don't think you can sit here and say, oh, he threw 6 touchdowns against a really bad defense. Like, that's not it. Gitmo Bob. Welcome back, Gitmo. It's good to see you, dude. He says Fields was an accomplished quarterback before even coming to Ohio State University. Haskins was a product of the system. And I think that's a good way to phrase it in very short terms. Jason Rhodes, he says Trey Lance going to Atlanta and sitting will be huge for him. Let's talk a little bit about that because we are in the comments phase of our show tonight. We know Matt Ryan is locked in for this year, and actually he's pretty much locked in for next year too. He's not going anywhere. So what do you guys think about the idea of him sitting potentially 2 seasons under Matt Ryan in Atlanta? They've got a new head coach now. The guy from Tennessee is Arthur Smith. What do you guys think about?
I love it.
The prospect.
I think it's great.
You can go first. I was going to give it to you.
You were going to give it to me because I was going to take it. I was going to take it out of your hand.
Just go.
I think it's great for him. I think that's the smartest thing you can do with that quarterback with Trey. I think him coming off of the success he had in college, although battling the one-hit wonder syndrome, I think him sitting down, taking those lessons learned, just gluing himself to Matt Ryan, how Matt Ryan prepares for games, the way he digests film, his work ethic, and keep that physical skill set intact and in perfect health while he works on bringing himself up to that level of maturity to be ready to handle an NFL team and the captain badge on his jersey. The worst thing you can do with a quarterback and I don't know Trey that bad, so I haven't looked at his film enough. So, but what I would say where your physical traits are your dominant benefit, on your draft profile. The last thing you want to do is grind him down while he learns the rest of the game. You know what I'm saying? So I think the best thing you could do with Trey is sit him for a season or 2, bring his other parts of his game, mature them, get him ready. And then when you put him out on the field, not only is he coming onto the field with 2 years of maturity on work ethic and being able to digest plays and understand plays, but he's also coming out fresh, which I think is the most fantastic thing you can do. Because a mature Trey Lance with those physical skill sets, I think is a very scary that would be a very scary thing to see on the field.
Yep. What do you thoughts, Chad, on Trey Lance sitting for potentially up to 2 years? It seems that way with the contract. What do you think about Trey Lance sitting in Atlanta for 2 years?
I would think it's a great idea. We've over the past, I don't know how many years to put on this, but over the past couple years, we've reached this era in the NFL where quarterbacks are really just expected to come in on day one and produce. And it's fun for the fans. But I also wonder what kind of impact it has on quarterback play in general, because the standard for years and years was that quarterbacks would come in, they'd sit behind somebody for a couple seasons, and then they get their shot. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's interesting to see that kind of scenario. And it wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, I think obviously, Matt Ryan was drafted, 2008. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's, he's going to need a replacement very, very soon. And I think it's a good idea.
It was a change in the rookie contracts that did it, because what do the teams have to lose? If you got a crummy quarterback in your starting spot, now Atlanta is different. You got Matt there, but if you're Jacksonville or if you're the Jets, I mean, you're not paying them what you were paying. Remember what Jay Russell got? I mean, you weren't. Well, Raiders ended up playing him, but let's just say Aaron Rodgers, who was brought in under the old rookie contracts. It didn't make sense for Green Bay to play him, both because they had Favre on the team, and two, you're paying them quite a lot of money at that point in time. The last thing you really want to do is run them that hard when you still got to pay them at the end of the day. So, to me, I don't know, John, your opinion on that, but I think it was the rookie contracts that probably changed that whole mentality.
Well, and it's a philosophical decision, because this is something, like you alluded to, Green Bay has now done this twice. They did it with Aaron Rodgers. They're now currently doing it with Jordan Love. And if they do decide to take Trey Lance, they would be following that model, because Trey Lance isn't going to be smelling the field unless Matt Ryan gets hurt. And I actually love that for Trey Lance, and I kind of am hoping for him, because just because I think he has the most bust or boomer bust potential in the draft doesn't mean I don't like him as a quarterback, does not mean that I don't think he can be successful. I think that this would be his ideal situation. Let him learn, and he'd have a good coach to learn from. And Trey Lance is really good at the play action game. They did it a lot at North Dakota State. And that's going to be a big part of the Arthur Smith offense that they're going to use in Atlanta. They're going to use play action, and I think that would really bode well for him. So as a fan of football and as a fan of these guys coming out in the draft, I would love to see Trey Lance land in Atlanta. Guys, continue to put the comments in the chat, guys, because we'll talk draft with you before we get into our topics. We're happy to do so.
All day.
Grant Rude says, I like Locke in Denver. Earlier they were talking about Drew Lock, and maybe Trey Lance could be drafted by Denver. He says, I like Locke in Denver. He says, I hope they give him another 2 years to see what he's got. Honestly, I think Locke needs to play well this year. I think he should get another shot this year. They have plenty of weapons. I think Denver should really look to add an offensive lineman if possible, and maybe try to get the running game going a little bit more in Denver. That's been kind of lacking, to say the least, in Denver. I know they had Melvin Gordon last year, but not terribly consistent. And I just would love to see them get back to maybe some running of the football along with the passing game.
Can I do a shout out real quick?
Sure.
There was a comment that Sean Bennett made really early. Just calling him out because he's one of our OG subscribers. He said he has a birthday coming up. Sean, if we don't circle back before your birthday, happy birthday, man.
Yep, appreciate that. Gumball 3D, welcome back to the channel, dude. He says signing Mullins makes too much sense. Look for that after the draft. I think that's when it's going to happen. I think a couple of moves are going to happen after the draft, including a cornerback. So yeah, I think that's where we're going with that. Let's see. Sean Bennett says, didn't know why JD didn't re-sign Joe Flacco. Would have started Flacco, sitting Zach for at least 6 games. That's actually an interesting point there. So, what do you guys think about that? Having just re-signed Flacco. He did not play terribly last year. What do you think about that? I'll let you go, Chad. You can go first. Just real quick we don't need to spend 15 minutes on this topic. What do you think about Joe Flacco being re-signed to be a mentor for the Jets?
Well, I think somebody correct me in the chat, I think Flacco may have re-signed elsewhere, but in general, I like the idea of it. Look, I mean, this
is a hindsight discussion. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, nobody's expecting to win anything next season, and I certainly don't want to throw Zach in there and get him all rattled, especially in the first half of the season. Let the expectations be low. Let a starter come in. Let him sit on the bench, and maybe start week 9, like whenever or after the bye week. I'd be totally fine with that. I think that makes all the sense in the world. Fans are going to clamor to have him start week 1 because we want to see him. You know how it is. We want to see what he looks like. We want to see him move around on the field. We were the same way with Darnold. But I think in the long term, thinking long term for the long term health of his career, it would make all the sense in the world to start a veteran at least halfway through the season.
Mike, anything to add on that? Just Flacco. Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree with Chad. I mean, we need someone back there right now because we don't have anyone. So
we don't have anybody, and right now we're in a situation where they are going to start the number 2 overall pick, whether it's Fields. It doesn't matter who it is. They're going to be playing week 1, and I think that's the idea that Sean was trying to propose. Is just the idea that they are going to be the week 1 starter. Would have been nice to have the decision, to be able to make, during training camp. If the kid looked like maybe he needed some more time, we could have made that decision. But now we're kind of in that situation where you're not going to start Nick Mullins, I don't think, week 1, even if we do sign him. So there's a couple of comments about James Morgan, our 4th round pick, I believe, out of Morgan State. So Gumball, he says, I don't feel good about Morgan. And Grant Rude says, we just need to wait and see with Morgan. He hasn't even played in the preseason. We haven't even seen the guy yet. And I think that's the approach that we need to take. I still don't like the pick. I think it was a mistake to take a quarterback in that draft. They should have taken another receiver in the 4th round. That's pretty common amongst Jets fans, but we do need to just wait and see because maybe Morgan, maybe he comes in and he becomes a really good backup quarterback. We just don't know. We just do not know. All right, cool. We're moving along here. So Grant Rude actually disagrees. He says, I agree, except the 2nd overall should be starting by week 5. So he's saying they should start after just like a month of the NFL season. Just give them a couple extra weeks. I'm cool with that. I have no problems with that. Michelle, but if they draft a lot of young starters, isn't it good for them to just start and grow together to make those connections? And that's actually what I was going to say. And I agree with my lovely wife. I think that depending on what happens in this draft, if they do take a receiver early, if they do take some offensive linemen early, we might be really just in a position where it's best if, like she said, everybody just gets in there and just starts to ball out together. Because there's no reason why, if our quarterback at number 2 overall is what he should be, then why the hell not? Let him play, and he should be balling out.
I don't know. The first time that some D tackle slips through.
Don't say that. You can't.
I don't want to say. I don't want to say it, but
don't say that.
The first time some rookie right guard blows his assignment and lets some D tackle through and blows up Zach.
You're like ESPN. That's what ESPN would say. That is what ESPN would say. That's Mike Greeny right there.
He's not wrong.
Our Red Sports team.
We all agreed that we didn't want a quarterback competition in the offseason, right? We said it was best for Darnold to move on, and it was best to bring Zach in. And unless we were going to land a quarterback that I wasn't tracking, I always thought Zach was going to start week 1. I guess that's a topic, John. I don't know if we really talked. Did we ever really have an explicit topic of we know we're taking Zach. Do we want Zach to start week 1? I don't think we ever really asked the chat or asked each other. I don't think I ever asked you that, John.
Well, save it for next week because it's not one of the topics. Red Sports, he says, good evening, guys. If you guys really want to take the pressure off of Zach, you could always sign Kaepernick. And I believe that was in jest. He was just kidding. He's been out of the league a couple of years now, so he's not going to be a option. Grant Rude responds to Michelle. He says, I agree for offensive lineman and QB wide receiver connection, but that can be done over the course of the year. 2022 is the year the Jets need to put it all together. I think that's fair to say. Let's see here. Sean Bennett says, I'm with Chad. I am kind of scared. Listen, there are some scary times.
Negative Nancy's, I tell you.
It's long-term planning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sam got hurt and he got mono. No one. Are we worrying about Zach getting the kissing disease?
Where is Sam now? He's gone. All right, I don't want to go.
We're not going through the Sam Darnold discussion.
We didn't get rid of him because of his injuries. We got rid of him because of his lack of play. So even let's just play worst case scenario. Let's say one of our linemen missed their assignment. We get a D tackle comes in, right? Take Zach out. Maybe we get 4 games. Maybe we get halfway through the season. I still think there's enough meat on the bone for us to, as fans, to determine whether what we saw was enough to whet our palate for the rest for whatever the injury time is at that point. Like, and that can happen anyway.
Are you speculating a Wilson injury right now?
Why? It's not me. I'm playing off of what Chad.
What is your problem? What is your problem? Oh my!
You know what?
We do have a new member of the show. We've got John in the chat. We're gonna welcome you, sir. Welcome to the show. He subscribed this past week. John, we're glad to have you here. Thank you so much for tuning in. He says Wilson, then O-line next with the next 2 picks. He says this is the best way to keep QB upright. And John, I think he knows that in my mock draft, I project the Jets to do that. I don't know if it ends up being that way. I sure as hell hope, though. I do want them to consider taking at least 2 offensive linemen in the first 5 picks. I think it would be a mistake if they did not. You guys want 2, right? Like, you want to hit on 2 offensive linemen pretty quickly in the draft, right? Let's go to Jenkins. Say again?
I would love Tevin Jenkins.
But that doesn't answer my question. I said, would you like 2 quickly in the draft, like within the first 5 picks or so?
At number 2? Like, is this a Sewell thing?
No, you need to listen more carefully. Would you like 2 offensive linemen within the first 5 picks that the Jets have?
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what John was saying. Chad, how do you feel about that?
Yes, and I'm actually so married to that concept now that I'm going to be disappointed if almost anything else happens. And this every year the same thing happens with the draft where I get so connected to this one scenario and then it doesn't happen. So I'm trying to keep an open mind, but I'm going to be disgusted if it doesn't happen. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So I will say this: don't put all your eggs in the basket and expect that by the end of the second night of the draft, which is rounds 2 and 3, don't expect that, or I'm sorry, I apologize. I said that wrong. Don't expect by the end of the second round that we will have 2 offensive linemen drafted. That might not happen, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we've blown the draft. If we can get an offensive lineman in the 3rd round along with another pick earlier, I think that's just fine. There's no reason to get all in a twist if we don't take one at 23 and at 34. We can still get offensive linemen in other parts of the draft.
Last week's mock.
Right. And it changes, like, because it depends on what happens ahead of you. That's always the thing. That, like,
exactly.
You just have to wait and see.
23rd pick. The 23rd pick is going to be so interesting. I'm more excited for the 23rd than any other pick in that draft. To be honest with you.
100%. Yes. Well said. John, thanks again for tuning in, dude. We're really happy that you're here. Let's see here. Jason Rhodes is with you, Mike. He says, not if one of those running backs are there at 23. So he is I believe what that means is that he is in on Najee Harris or ATN. We've talked a lot about this. Mike, I'm going to give you another spin at this, Mike. Sell me on a running back at 23. I hate the idea. Give it one last shot. Sean Bennett, before you go, Sean Bennett says, no! Go ahead.
I gotta make this good or else I'm gonna get roasted for the rest of the stream.
Get your marshmallows ready.
There are other people that agree with you, so go ahead.
So we know who we're taking at number 2. It's the biggest investment that the Jets will make for the next 3 to 5 years. Why do we gravitate towards taking linemen? Because we want to protect that asset. I think there's another way to look at that scenario, which is how do you take the pressure off that asset, and how do you diversify your attack so where the quarterback, let's just say like Sam, doesn't have to produce every play, every down, every half. And I think the one thing that you would say is our running game was crap. We had Le'Veon Bell, we had Frank Gore. What could have been with a lot of things? What could have been if Sam didn't get hurt in those first few years? What about this? What about that? But if you're going to bring Zach in, we know we're taking a lineman. We're probably taking multiple linemen in the draft. We already have a decent receiving core. We picked up some talent in the free agency. What are we missing? We're missing a running game to help break down, to help move the workload around the team. And I think that depending on what happens in the draft, if you see someone drop, Travis Etienne, I don't know, Najee I wouldn't pick. I don't know if I'd do Najee at 23. I think Najee at 34 is a very compelling thing. So just here's my thing. Tell me how this sounds. Zach Wilson at 2, Creed Humphrey at 23, and let's just say miracles happen. Travis Etienne drops, right? He drops. We get him at 34. You're gonna tell me that that's not exciting? You pick up a protection for you get your asset, you get your investment, you protect your investment at 23, and then you take the pressure off of him at 34. And now Travis being there at 34 is probably not realistic. So it's probably Najee is probably a better scenario for that. But even Najee, I think that trinity, that trifecta, to me is very great because you still have the rest of the picks in the draft to do whatever you want. If Chad wants 4 linemen, he can have 4 linemen. If we want to get a tight end, you can get a tight end. You can get what's the guy from Boston College? Now I'm drawing blanks. I just think that
Hunter Long.
Thank you. You can get Hunter Long. Yes, is Chuba Hubbard down there? Is Trey Sermon down there? Yeah, I get that, and I'm totally good with that. Last week's mock, I was totally fine with. But you can't compare Chuba and Trey to Najee and to Travis.
I'm just going to stop you right there because officially our stream, for the first time, this is the 14th episode, we got our first live dislike. And it happened as soon as you started talking about running back.
You gave me a shot. I gave it a shot. So yeah, whatever.
All good. Let me get to some comments. Chad, I'll let you speak on it if you'd like. So Gitmo says, depending on who is available, I can see taking Davis at 34. I think he's talking about the guard, Wyatt Davis. And he's talking about Josh Myers, the center from Ohio 66. He also says a cornerback and an edge at 23, perhaps as well. Thank you, Gitmo. Definitely could see that. My lovely wife agrees with me. I think they're going to trade back from 23. Like it or not, they're not going to stay at that pick, in my opinion. Jason Rhodes, I actually like Jalen Mayfield a lot out of Michigan. I think that could be an awesome pick for the Jets. So if they do decide to take an offensive lineman early, they could maybe get Mayfield a little bit later in that 3rd round, 2nd round range. I like that pick a lot. Dan Jones, I'm pretty sure he's been here before. If not, welcome. He says, mid-rounds, pound the interior offensive lineman. There's definitely some really good value there. I would agree. And John comes at you, Mike, and he says, you can't run the ball if you're stuck in the backfield. And he's not wrong. And that's why you don't take a running back. That's why you don't take a running back early. You take offensive linemen, you take pass rushers, you take quarterbacks. You take those positions early because they impact everybody else.
But I don't think the line would be that bad. You take Creed at 23. You already got Becton.
You just said we were taking a running back at 23. That's the whole argument.
I said, tell me how this sounds. I said you take Wilson, you take Humphrey, and then you take Najee at 34. I said Najee isn't really worth the 23rd pick. I think he's worth the 34th pick. I think if you invest one lineman in the 1st round with that second first round pick, and then you take the running back, assuming that one of those top 2 talents are there, I don't necessarily think that that's a crazy idea. I mean, I know that's not really appealing to a lot of us. I don't think that's what the Jets should do, but I'm just saying I'm not gonna shut the door on that necessarily.
Sean Bennett said, drunken rants of a delusional Irishman. All due respect, Mike. All due respect. Let's see. Jason Rhodes says, let's go Wilson at 1, ATN at 23, and Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama at 34. I like the idea of Leatherwood. I can't wrap my head around the running back early. I think it's a mistake. So I respectfully disagree with you guys. Gitmo Bob says the running back was crap because of Gase. Jim Brown wouldn't have been successful behind that line with Gase's. Well said, Gitmo. Well said.
I haven't heard Chad respond to my
We're getting to it right now. I went to you, and now the chat, and then back to Chatty. Chad, what do you want?
Chad needs to sell it. Chad, sell the running back at either 23 or 34.
Sell it?
Why does he have to sell it?
I can't sell it because I'm not buying it.
Right.
I can't sell it because I'm not buying it. I don't.
It's not like I picked it off the shelf. I was handed the argument, and I made my case.
No. Well, okay. If you're going to put it like that, no, it would have to be, in that case, it had to be a Najee for the 23rd pick. Somebody for the longest time, I think it might have been ESPN, was mocking him to us at 23. Which even in like January, I didn't understand that. But no, it'd have to be somebody really special for that to happen. And we just, I think, John, you might have said this a couple weeks ago. We don't have the luxury of that this year. Maybe next year, hopefully, but it's not in the cards this year. It's just not. We have to go strong O-line or maybe one of the corners if they're available early on at 23 or 34.
Yep. All right, cool. Jason, I see you chirping in the chat. If you want to make the case for a running back, you're more than welcome to call in. Just real quick, guys, we're going to get ready to transition into our draft discussion a little bit more formally. Really quickly, if you have not hit the like button, we would appreciate you guys to like the video. If you're new and you're watching this for the first time, or if you've been a long-time watcher of the channel, please consider subscribing, whether you're watching live now or whether you've watched all of our streams after the fact. We would greatly appreciate you guys, so to do that. Anyways, we will move on. We've got a bunch of draft segments coming up right now, actually. And the first subject, and we're going to do, this was Chad's idea, so I do want to give him compliments here. This was a great idea. So he basically said, let's do a bunch of scenarios where we've got an A choice, a B choice, a C choice, and we have to make our choice out of the three, as if we were like on the clock, and you have to make a choice between those players. So the very first one is going to be running back, oddly enough. And we're not doing the early running backs. We are looking more at the mid-round kind of running backs here. And you guys should, in the chat, you guys should comment on it. We want to hear you guys commenting on it while we talk about it, because that kind of involves you. And if you want to call in on any of these discussions while we're while you're talking about it, we would love for you guys to call in. It's always fun to interact with you guys. So the first topic is going to be Kenneth Gainwell out of Memphis. It's going to be Chuba Hubbard out of Oklahoma State. And it's going to be running back Trey Sermon out of Oklahoma. We do have a call in. This is going to be our friend Jason Rhodes from Indiana. We'll let him talk for a minute about running back, and then we'll get going here.
It'll put you all to shame.
Voicemail, press 2.
Jason Rhodes, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen?
How you doing, dude?
Well, I must be feeling ill because I'm agreeing with Mike, so I better get my COVID test or something.
All right, so listen, this is the way it's going to work. You have the floor. I'm going to give you a monologue here of you speaking your mind, and we'll probably hang up on you, and then we'll discuss whatever you say. Go for it.
Well, Mike, I got to agree with you. You have to take Travis at 23. The running game helps the passing game. The passing game does not help the running game. This guy can catch the ball. He's He's the running back that we've been waiting for. And he'll be able to take pressure off of Wilson. Wilson won't be able to add to the running game with his arm, but this guy can help Wilson in the passing game, and that's why we take a running back at 23.
Okay, there you go. And so you're only really interested in ATN, is that correct?
If both running backs are there, I'm taking him. I'm passing on Najee.
And you're passing on, I would assume, because you want the explosiveness what ATN offers, correct?
Yes, I think he'll take more pressure off and than what Najee could do.
There you go. All right. You got anything else you're going to throw at us before we let you go?
No, dude, you guys are doing great.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Jason.
Go Jets, Jake. Take care, man. Thanks so much for calling, dude. Good guy. One of the best we have on the channel. Thank you, Jason.
Oh,
for calling. So I will say, if we were going to take a running back, I'm not going to sell us on it, but if we were going to take one, I am in favor of taking ATN over Najee. I do like Najee a lot, but like he had kind of mentioned, ATN is a little bit more versatile, even though Najee can receive out of the backfield. I just think ATN can do a little bit more. He probably has a little bit more of a like a route tree, I should say. We have another caller. Let's go ahead and do that.
Mark Orlando.
To accept, press 1.
Mark Orlando, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good, guys. What's going on?
Not a whole lot, dude. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate it. How you feeling?
Good. But I'm starting to get nauseous about hearing all this talk about running back.
Don't get nervous.
23.
We are not pro running back. Don't you worry.
I see all these mock drafts, and I see these people. They want to grab mediocre guards in the first round or running backs, and it's just and then I hear this guy's talking about, oh, the running back's really going to help out the young quarterback, or, oh, he really needs a tight end. They've done the research already on this stuff. Wins above replacement doesn't come from a running back, doesn't come from a tight end. Comes from edge, wide receiver, corners. That's what you pick at 23 and 34. You don't pick running backs.
Yeah.
And you get guards in the third round, especially when you have his own blocking scheme. You don't need guards in the first round. I mean, this is silly. It's not going to. Do you think the guy you take in the first round is going to really be that much better than the guy you already have there? It's going to really make your team that much better? I mean, no, it's not. And I don't want to see any. I see the debate. I could live with any of those running backs, like Gainwell, Hubbard. I'm a big fan of his game, but maybe more of an inside zone guy. I'm probably taking a guy in the 5th or 6th round. I can go with a Kenny Nwangu or a Puka Williams, somebody like that. The principle in that scheme is you need speed. That is really what it comes down to. And you could find a guy in the 5th or 6th round. Look at the guys they had in San Francisco. Look at the runs when we played San Francisco, and they took it to the house twice.
That's a good point to make.
They did that. The reason why they did it is because it's the scheme, and it's the guys have speed, right? It's not the guy who's 240 pounds that's great catching out of the backfield. That is Travis Etienne. I love Travis Etienne, but is he going to make my team that much better statistically? No, running backs do not make your team that much better, no matter how good they are.
Yep. And you're preaching. And I'm not going to try to I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to say, I agree with you 100% on the fact that you take corners early, you take receivers early, you take quarterbacks early. So I have no problem with what you're preaching. You're preaching to my choir right now. So any other thoughts you have before we let you go?
Yeah, it's just, corner and edge. And the reason why you take edge because they're expensive. And you get them on rookie deal for 5 years. That's why you take an edge in the first round.
And they may
end up. All right, guys, have a good one.
You too, brother. Thank you so much for calling in. That was Mark Orlando. Thank you, Mark, for calling in.
Thanks, Mark.
What do you guys think about that? Before we move on to this running back thing, what do you guys think? Edge in the first round because they get very expensive after that first contract. Chad, why don't you go first?
That is a valid point, and I do agree. I don't necessarily want to do it in this draft, but I agree with the premise.
Yep. And Mike, what are your thoughts on just an edge or a receiver early in the draft versus the running back or the offensive lineman? I actually think that part it's a little bit far-fetched to say you can't take an offensive lineman early in the draft. I think they'd make an impact, but go ahead and tell what you think, Mike.
I think any player, I think any of the positions that we've talked about can go in the top rounds. We've seen it. Yes, the game's changed and doesn't make sense in today's game versus the game that we grew up watching, in the 90s or early 2000s or late or earlier than that, for depending on the viewer. The game's changed and the positions and the value of those positions changed. Now, I agree with edge rushers and talent. It makes sense to take them first, but I agree with Chad, which is it doesn't make sense for this draft. We made investments in the offseason or in the free agency. I'd rather see us take two top talent offensive linemen than to invest in the only position I would say on the defense that I would like to see in the first round if they drop is a corner, is a high talent corner like J.C. Horn. Or another talent maybe around the 34th pick. Other than that, the offense was such shit. I think we need to invest in the offense for this draft. This draft should be offensive heavy. I don't think it should be all offense. I think we do need to spread it around, one or two picks of the defense. But this offense needs to pick it up.
I agree with you. Chad, real quick before we get to this draft conversation.
What, as far as the question about edge?
Yeah, just I like the idea. What he's thinking is you're not just looking at the draft from a position standpoint. You're also looking at it from a financial standpoint. I just thought it was interesting that he mentioned that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree, and just to reiterate, I mean, I agree with the premise, but this is not the draft where I would do it. I don't think we have that elite edge rusher that's going to be available at 23, at least not elite enough for me to want to pass on a guard or a tackle to take him. So
yep.
Next year, sure, but just not this year.
Yeah, and I'll just end it up by saying, absolutely having an elite edge rusher versus an elite offensive lineman. I think there's no doubt we would probably vie for the edge rusher, the elite one, more times than not. But like he said, kind of we're trying to patch this offensive line up so that our quarterback doesn't die behind this offensive line. Really quickly, just want to shout out Richard 73. He is new to the channel. Welcome, sir. We are happy to see you in the chat. Thanks for commenting. He said, we need cornerback. He's saying at 34, and he's also saying we need offensive line at 23. I would have no worries, no problems with that. We can definitely take offensive line we can definitely take offensive heavy draft and still hit on the defense. And I think that's a good approach, is to try to hit that cornerback position kind of early, but still going aggressive with offense. All right, let's get back to what we were doing before we got our two calls. And again, thanks, Mark, and thanks, Jason, for calling in. We love that. That is one of my favorite parts of the show, is to hear from you guys. We were talking about Kenneth Gainwell from Memphis, Chuba Hubbard from Oklahoma State, and Trey Sermon, who played at Oklahoma and also at Ohio State. I don't know who wants to go first here. I'm going to let whoever says me, basically. I have a lot I can say. I have some notes here. So who would you take if you're on the clock? Pretend the other two people on the panel do not exist. What are you thinking? Who's going first?
So do you just want our pick for this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Who are you taking over the other two, basically?
Why don't we do this? Why don't you go 3, 2, 1, and then Chad and I both say our names, and we'll see if it's I don't know. Maybe that's not a good idea.
Yeah, it's not. Let's just see who. It's not a good idea. Neither of you are chirping up, so guys. I'm going first. You both failed that test miserably. I really like Kenneth Gainwell. I think that we can get him probably in the 4th round. I think it's going to be a little bit close. He might go early 4th. We have an early 4th round pick, but he could go a little bit late 3rd. We do have a late 3rd round pick again, which I kind of like. We have that early 3rd. We have that late 3rd. We have an early 4th. I would look at him in the early 3rd or the late 4th, in that 4th round. You're going to get a guy who is a receiver who can really catch the ball very, very well. You're not spending a premium pick on him, and you're not spending a premium pick on any of these guys, but I just love the idea of getting some real speed. This guy fits the scheme really nicely. He's 5'11". He does need to add a little bit of weight. He's only 191 pounds. And here's the beautiful part about Kenneth Gainwell. Are you guys ready? 292 career touches at Memphis. This guy has little to no wear and tear on his body. And guess what? You ready? I'm not done preaching. I'm singing right now. I'm preaching and I'm singing. Chuba Hubbard, 638 career touches in college. Trey Sermon, 500 plus touches in college football. Now, again, that's not a reason to not draft those guys, but it's a plus. Anytime you can get a running back out of the draft that does not have a million carries or a million touches coming into the NFL, I think that is a big plus for him. Vision, athleticism, receiving, he's versatile. The only thing I really said is he's not he's undersized. So if you want to knock on Kenneth Gainwell, there's your knock. Grant Rude says, sing me a song, baby. I don't really have many other reasons for wanting him. It's more about those other two not wanting them. Chuba Hubbard, I like him a lot, and I would pick him actually after Gainwell. He would be my second choice.
Now you're singing.
The only thing I worry about with him is he did have an excessive amount of touches, as I pointed out. He didn't actually catch the ball very well, though, in college. And I was actually a little bit surprised when I did some digging and when I was prepping for this week. The dude had almost 2,100 rushing yards in his sophomore year. He only had 23 receptions that year. So he's not really a big-time threat receiving the football. And that's kind of why I pushed him down below Kenneth Gainwell. I'm done singing. One of you assholes better start speaking up.
Well, I had a bunch of bullet points written down, and you hit literally almost all of them. It's okay. No, that's how it is. My pick also is Kenneth Gainwell. I think the only point worth mentioning to me is he did sit out in 2020 due to COVID, but the year that he had in 2019, he did have a lot of meaningful touches. And just to put it in perspective, his 231 carries in 2019 was just 10 less than Frank Gore and Ty Johnson combined with 2 less games. Another selling point for me with him is 51 catches last season or in 2019. I think the fact that we're going to have a rookie quarterback in there, you need a check down option. I think we need a running back that can be a sure catch coming out of the backfield, and that's why he's my pick. And he also ran an unofficial 4.42 at his pro day. Now, don't get me wrong, Chuba Hubbard has video game speed. He jumps off the screen, but and I would just be just as happy with him. But Kenneth Gainwell has a slight edge for me.
All right, there you go. Mike, who are you taking?
I'm taking Chuba Hubbard, man. I just think that Chuba is probably is in the better position for us to get a better deal on Chuba versus Gainwell and versus Trey Sermon. I think to both your points, Chad, your points last week, because you were big on Trey Sermon during the mock last week, and Don, your comments on Gainwell, and Chad, yours as well. I'm not disagreeing with them. I'm just thinking, what else do we need? So now I'm flipping the script on both of you assholes, and I'm saying if we're not going to take ATN and we're not taking Najee, then why would we take a running back at a point in the draft where there's probably going to be tight end talent, is probably going to be potentially other offensive talent at that point. I'm going to go for the best deal possible then, and I'm not going to waste our mid-round picks. I'm not saying you're wasting your picks, but I don't think the Jets need to use those picks on that talent. You might as well wait and hope that Chuba falls, because if you get Chuba in the late rounds, you're going to be feeling pretty good, because when you look at the rest of your draft picks, you're going to be like, I got Chuba and I got all these other players. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty damn good.
I'm leveling you up. Well said. I think that may have been your best 30-second stretch the entire time we've been doing this. Well said, man. I like that comment, and I do not hate your logic in the fact that we're going to get a better deal with Hubbard, because he will probably go after Gainwell. At least I think he will. Very well said. Tommy comes in. Welcome back, Tommy. He says, I wouldn't be mad if they stayed away from running back at all together. He'd be fine with just not drafting a running back. He says, but I would be mad if they didn't fill the holes on the O-line first. Yeah, so Mr. Philly, he says, is Chad drinking Yoo-Hoo? I don't believe so.
It's Kahlua and something else.
Something tasty. So Mark Orlando, he says, I am with Mike. John also says, I agree with Mike. No mid-round running backs. He says, you can take an RB1 and a wide receiver 1 next year. and Sean Bennett says, I think Mike makes more sense the more he drinks. Well, again, funny enough, the more time you spend with us, the more you'll learn that is way too true. Just way, way too true. All right, we're going to keep it going here, guys. We're doing great. We have talked about the running backs. We're now going to do some more. We're going to do wide receivers this time. And I'm not going to go first this time, even though I'll rip you guys to shreds again, even though I'll go last. We've got wide receiver Marquez, Stevenson. And we've got wide receiver Jaelon Darden and wide receiver Anthony Schwartz. Again, these are some guys that will be available later in the draft. And we are choosing. We are the GM of the Jets for a hot 2 minutes, and we get to decide who the pick would be. Sean Bennett said, it's the Irish curse. Oh, man. So who wants to go first? I said this last time, and you guys really did a doozy on me.
I'll go.
Go for it.
Me?
Yeah, dude, go for it.
All right, yeah. So this one was this was the second toughest one for me. I rank a lot of these guys very similarly. Based on pure God-given talent alone, I'm going Jaelon Darden here. For me, watching the tapes and watching the breakdowns and everything, he's got the kind of hips and footwork that you just kind of have to be born with, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
Now, at 5'8", I understand it's a big if that he could carry that into the next level, but if he could, it could be amazing. From a scheming perspective, I see him being used on end-around screens, slants, more so end-arounds in the system that we're going to be putting forth next year. On top of that, I like the fact that he plays with a chip on his shoulder. I think to a certain degree, a wide receiver specifically needs that to be successful. And I like his attitude. I watched an interview with him just yesterday, and he just seems so pissed the entire time. So, yeah, I like him a lot. He's my pick.
Okay, cool. Mike, who are you going with? I'm going last this time.
I'm going to go with Marquez Stevenson. I like that pick because, well, I won't overlook his negatives. The size concerns me. He's not someone who's going to be physical with the defensive backs. I think there was some plays leading up to the streams that I was watching of him where he got so knocked off his route it was somewhat funny. And that's due to his lack of size, maybe lack of maturity in terms of using his skill sets, his agility in order to get around that. But I like the fact that you could use him on both the offense and on special teams. I think he could be your returner You put him on the field, you help the special teams out, and that was something we talked about last week, I think, fellas, which was, how can we get players who bring elements to the offense or to the defense, and yet we still help out the special teams, because you still need the special teams. I mean, it's a very easy thing to overlook. Obviously, the special teams is filled up with, your bench players or you bring them up from the practice squad, but you got to think about the entire team. And I think a player who can serve multiple roles, and who I think of, John knows this, is Derek McCluster. If anyone played fantasy and had Derek McCluster back in Dexter McCluster,
okay,
back in 2010, you'll know that you could play him in 3 different positions, and it was fantastic.
Okay, so you're vying for versatility, basically, and your special teams. And that is true. I did note that he has the ability to do special teams. All right, my turn. I'm actually going to say it's a tie, and I know that's a cop-out. I will pick somebody at the end. I really am stuck between Jaelon Darden and Anthony Schwartz. Jaelon Darden, to me, doesn't really have a whole lot of negatives. The only thing you could say is he's undersized. Tremendous production at North Texas. He got better every single year in college. Started out with 281 yards his freshman year, 575, then 736, and then almost 1,200 yards. And that's not including his return yards, which he's a very, very good returner. Kind of like what you had mentioned, Mike. Marquez Stevenson, he ranks a little bit lower for me due to injuries. He had a broken collarbone in 2016. He tore his ACL in 2017, and he also dealt with an ankle injury this past year. So I'm staying away from him due to the reoccurring injuries. That's a turnoff for me. And you don't really see that with Jaelon Darden, even though he's smaller. You see him able to take the hits and kind of, stay healthy. And then we have Anthony Schwartz. So the only reason why I'm a little bit skeptical of him, he's supposed to be this big-time home run threat, fast player, like really, really fast. But when I look at, some of his stats, and again, this could be part of, the offense. It could also be the quarterback that's playing with him. After his freshman year, his best average per reception, 11.8 yards per reception. He had 10.7 yards per reception in 2019. So for being this big time deep threat, he's not really getting a ton of yards per catch, and that kind of concerns me. But otherwise, there were a lot of really good notes for him. Really good, willing blocker. He's tough. He's not one of those guys that's just going to be like a finesse streaker down the field. So for those reasons, I'm actually going to pick Jaelon Darden. I'm going to agree with Chad. I just think that he would be the perfect replacement for Crowder as well in the slot. I feel like he can sit and play special teams. Like you had said, Mike, he can be a special teamer and then kind of take over the role in 2022, which I think is ideal. So, all right, we're doing fantastic. I'm sorry. Let me go back. We did have a couple of people chiming in. Richard says Schwartz. Sean Bennett says Schwartz. Gitmo Bob says Schwartz. And Sean Bennett chimes in again with one of the comments that I made. He says this LaFleur offense needs really good wide receiver blockers. And I agree. So the chat disagrees with us. We did not pick Schwartz. However, the chat is saying no. Schwartz all day, baby. All right, let's keep it.
Schwartz be with you. I think it was one of the comments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, guys. We've got 3 linebackers we're going to discuss, and then we've got 3 cornerbacks that we're going to discuss. So this next segment is going to be about these linebackers. We've got Baron Browning from Ohio State University. We've got Dylan Moses from Alabama. And we've got Jabril Cox from LSU. Mike, why don't you go first this time since you have been second and last?
Absolutely. I'm going Dylan Moses.
All right.
I think I watched some film, like I said, leading up to the stream tonight. I love what he brings to the field. There are some things that make me a little bit hesitant, but I want to say that the one thing you can't overlook is his awareness on the field. I don't know if you watch any of his vids. I mean, his awareness is off the charts. I think he showcases a player. You know, there's some college talent. I mean, I think we could think of a few players. When I say this name, I'm not saying they're the same caliber, but you know, Ed Reed in college, he always had that ball hawking skill. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ever watched him play, like, there's some players who just naturally have that gift, right? Who can just, they don't need to be on the pro stage to see what they can do and the maturity that they have in terms of that football thinking that they have. And to me, there are some clear plays that Dylan Moses has that definitely gave me that similar impression. I don't want chat to blow me up or anything like that, because they're going to say, oh, you think he's Ed Reed? No, I'm not saying he's Ed Reed, chat. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is there's things about him that that do give me a lot of excitement in whoever gets him. I think 40 or so tackles, solo tackles. You know, I think the one thing that disappointed me was his sack numbers. You know, I don't know. I got to look at what was his previous stats for 20.
I can get you. He had a sack.
Three in 2018, 1.5, I think, in 2017. So, you know, again, you know, it all depends on the scheme that you put him in. But I like I said, I think it's more of his intangibles on what I saw in terms of his film that I thought was pretty exciting. I want to say that the injuries is the other thing that makes me a little bit hesitant. I think he had a few injuries. You know, I don't know. I think that's kind of where I am with that.
Well done. I think you hit on the nail. 2019, he had an ACL tear. He also was recovering from that injury and played kind of hurt this year. Didn't really ever fully recover from that knee injury, but played this season even with that, with returning from the injury. So, Chad, what do you think? Who are you taking from these three linebackers available?
Yeah, this one again was really close, and I particularly have a bias towards Alabama linebackers. But after looking at the breakdowns for everybody, looking at the tape for everybody, and reading the profiles, I gave a slight edge to Jabril Cox. I thought that he put together an incredibly impressive college career. And honestly, I've seen him projected as high as the second in several mocks that I've seen. So if he's available at 66 or 86, I think we have to pull the trigger on that. And I'll tell you what I like the most about him is his ability to cover in open space as a linebacker. And let me bring this back to the Jets. I'm going to give you guys a couple names. So Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki, Rob Gronkowski, Tyler Eifert, and possibly Kyle Pitts if he gets selected by Atlanta. That is a list of tight ends that the Jets defense has to cover next year. Now, if you're like me, you've got a slight case of PTSD from years of watching tight ends burn the shit out of our defense. I'm tired of it. It needs to end. I need a linebacker that can cover, and that's why the pick is Jabril Cox.
Very well said. That is exactly what I have written down on mine. He is probably one of the best, if not the best, cover linebackers in this draft. And something to note, he played at LSU this year. It was his only year at LSU because he said he wanted to prove people that he could play with elite competition because he was actually at North Dakota State. Right. So this dude wasn't having any of that. He said, you want to see me play against the best? I'll come and play against the best. And he played like a beast. Played very, very well. 5 passes defensed, 3 interceptions, had a sack, 6.5 tackles for a loss. He scored a touchdown. I mean, this is a guy that's very, very busy on the defensive side. So, Marco Orlando, you're getting him all fired up. He says, yes, Chad, preach, brother. Cox is good in coverage. So is Browning, for that matter. And that's actually going to lead to our very first complete... we all agree. Chad and I agreed on Jaelon Darden last time. This is going to be our first disagreement. I actually am taking Baron Browning. He is my linebacker of choice. 6'3", 240 pounds. Athleticism, production. He's a good coverage guy, like Mark Orlando had mentioned. I think he'd fit really good at the 4-3 linebacker, the will linebacker spot. And sneaky, he's a pretty good sneaky blitzer. And the only thing that I had read about and that I've seen is that he sometimes will disappear in games, which isn't great to read. But when you look at his production, you're seeing a guy that is pretty consistently making big plays happen. In 2019, this guy was an absolute terror. 43 total tackles, 11 for a loss, 5 sacks. And, you're just looking at just somebody that's played on a really good team. And the only thing that I'll say is that he could potentially struggle to get off of some blockers. The guards might get their hands on him, and he might have a hard time getting through those blocks. I think you could say the same thing for Jabril Cox as well. Might not be the most stout against the run, but I think I would rather have the really good cover linebacker for once, like Chad alluded to, not getting burnt by tight ends all day, every day. We saw what Darren Waller did to us last year, and that was with Marcus May covering him. So,
I mean, I feel like Dylan's got some great footage of him being able to cover that. I just want to put that out there. It's not that Dylan is, is just going to be physical at the line. I mean, he's got some great plays where he's out there. I mean, he doesn't, I think I would imagine, obviously the injuries, you can't overlook that. I mean, obviously when you're making an investment, I mean, even a mid-round pick, you want something that's sustainable. You want to make sure that you're bringing someone in who can actually build with the team, build with Zach, build with the offense. But he's not like a heavy-footed guy. He can keep up out there. So I'm both of you. I like the fact that we picked, all three of us picked different players. I thought that was fantastic. And for the chat, I don't know if they know this, but we don't know who we're picking before the stream, chat. So so I'm finding out at the same time that these guys are. So you all made great points, and I agree with each of you. I just wanted to put that out there. I don't want anyone to think that Dylan's a heavy-footed linebacker that can't cover the field. I mean, he's got some good plays out there.
Yeah, and I'll just add on Dylan Moses. He played all 3 linebacker spots at Alabama, so this is not just a guy that can play one spot. He's very versatile. Sideline to sideline speed is through the roof. And one of the things that I noted was that he plays like his hair is on fire. And I think those are the kinds of guys that I think those are the kinds of guys that Robert Saleh really, really wants on his team. He wants people that are just all gas, no break. He wants guys that are going to play at 100 all day, every day, all game long. And so just because we disagree on who we would take does not mean that any of these guys wouldn't be great fits. I think Dylan Moses would be fantastic. I think Jabril Cox would also be fantastic. I do not, Sean Bennett, but it's pretty cool that you do, actually. He says, who here buys the Jets yearbooks every year? That's a pretty cool collection if you've been doing that for any length of time. I like that. That's pretty cool. All right, we've got one more segment that we're going to do before we get into our mock draft. And this is going to be a mock draft with a little bit of a twist. This, again, was Chad's idea. So all the credit goes to him for that idea. So hopefully you'll stick around for the mock draft to see us get all crazy here. All right, we have got cornerbacks. And these are probably the earliest projected players of the entire segment that we've been doing tonight. These guys are probably in that second round, no later than early third round projection, I think. We've got cornerback Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. We've got cornerback Erick Stokes from Georgia. And we've also got cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. from Florida State. I'm going to go first again. Is that okay? Are we all cool with that? What's up, Rafa?
Do it.
Rafa, it's been a minute. Welcome back, dude. We love having you. Call into the show, Rafa. I miss hearing your voice. I'll go first on these cornerbacks. Who would I take? I believe that I had said I would probably take Tyson Campbell. He's 6'2", 185 pounds. He has the agility, the quickness to play, and to really react in this zone defense. He's got the size-speed combo that Joe Douglas really digs. He's really into big, fast corners. He's really into big, fast wide receivers. He does have durability concerns. And so the only thing I'll note, though, is that he does have durability concerns, but he was very healthy in 2020. He did play, I believe, in almost all, if not all, of his games. There's a couple of people throwing in their name, and they're agreeing with me, so huzzah. So the only thing that I did also read, and again, this is just from reading online and watching a little bit of film, he doesn't make a ton of plays on the ball. Only had 5 passes defended in 2020, 4 the year prior to that, and he only had 1 interception in his college career. So when you're drafting him, I feel like you're drafting him with the upside in mind, not necessarily the production. So it could be a little bit risky. These other guys were more productive. I'm going to let Chad go next. Chad, who you got?
I picked Tyson Campbell as well. This was the toughest one for me because all 3 of these guys are comparable, and it was really hard to make a choice. Ultimately, I picked him for his size and frame at 6'2", 185. I think he's still got some room on his frame to add about 10, 15 pounds, but he's got the very good drop in his hips, a very good base, great burst, and ideal NFL size for a corner. So that's why he was my pick.
Yeah, and I'll just throw out there because this comment just came in. Gitmo Bob, I think that's something that I talked about when I was doing my Greg Newsome and the corner from South Carolina. My brain's not working.
Horn?
Say again?
Horn?
Horn, yes, sorry. JC Horn. I alluded to that in my draft profiles for those guys. They don't get peppered. Like they're not being highly targeted in college. They tend to stay away from the best of the best in college. They're very careful about that. And they do that at the NFL as well, but even more so in college. All right, Mike, who you got?
I mean, everyone says Campbell is the best pick if he's there. I'm gonna go Erick Stokes though. I think he's got the same intangibles. He's 6'1". He's got the same size. He's got some things that need to be worked on, and I think with Robert there, I think there's a lot of room for him to grow into a top tier talent. I like there were some plays that he does get beat. You know, he gets to step on him, or the receivers get to step on him out off the line. But I think that, you know, his physicality once he's out there, I think that's where that size comes into play. You know, him versus I was leaning more him versus Asante Samuel, and I was kind of going that direction because of who's the better deal based on what the Jets need and things of that nature, and who I thought was actually going to be available at around that mid second round kind of area where I think these guys are going to go. And I was torn between Erick and Asante. I mean, Asante's got crazy stats. I mean, guy put up numbers, but I just don't think he has the ceiling, the high ceiling that Erick Stokes does in terms of what he brings to the table at that point. I'm trying to think what else I got written down on him.
If you don't mind me interjecting here, I'm just going to say, like, that's one of the notes that I wrote is he's going to fit really well into this defense, the defensive scheme, Erick Stokes. So I think it's a great pick. The only thing I will throw in there is that if we're looking for a slot corner and not necessarily terribly worried about outside corner for some reason, even though I think it is a very big need, if we're going to go slot corner in this spot, I think it's Asante Samuel Jr. I think he'd be fantastic. Jason Rhodes did throw out Samuel Jr. I think that there would be nothing wrong with taking Samuel instead of these guys. Again, if you're looking for a long-term answer at slot corner, maybe even with the potential to play a little bit of outside, because I think Samuel Jr. wants to play some outside. I think that would be nice.
I just, you know, I like this is kind of like Justin Hardy, the special teamer we picked up. I love players who bring a little bit of attitude, and I think Erick Stokes has that in him. You know, his physicality with players, You can get a little grabby. That's not very appealing to some people out there. Penalties and things like that. But I think that defense needs a little attitude. It needs a little Bart Scott in it. It needs some attitude in it to wake it up, especially if we're going to be bringing some power to the offense. And I think Erick Stokes, if Campbell's not there, and it's between Asante Samuel Jr. And Stokes. It's more of a me thing. I get a good feeling off of Stokes. So that's my case closed.
You're doing a great job of explaining yourself. You never do anyway. I mean, I'm just saying. Tonight you're doing a great job. Sean Bennett saying Stokes would be awesome. Mark Orlando throws in his thoughts. He says Samuel Jr. is the better cornerback right now, and I agree with that. I think he's a more polished product. And he's saying that he thinks he can hold up on the outside despite his size. I have no problem with us taking Samuel Jr. Chad, why don't you talk a little bit about Samuel Jr.? I just think it would be awesome to have somebody that is feisty like he is, but also can play inside and outside.
He also plays with a chip on his shoulder a little bit, and I like that. He's a 3-year starter at Florida State. That's not something that you can scoff at. And obviously he comes from NFL bloodline. So I like it. The only reason I didn't pick him is because he's a little bit undersized. So like you said, he would almost have to be used as a slot corner role. But he's got all the makings to be a successful NFL corner. Don't get me wrong.
Yep. Sean Bennett says Mike's on his 8th Smirnoff. Yep, we can tell. The wiser he gets, the more we know he's had. Rafa actually comes in with my last point. He says Richard Sherman should be that fire or would be that fire. So listen, that's why I actually vie for Campbell, because I think that Campbell learning and playing with Richard Sherman would just be absolutely through the roof fantastic. He could learn a lot from Richard. And again, that's still why I think I want Richard Sherman after the draft. If we don't get Richard Sherman, that's fine. Steven Nelson would be sweet as well. But again, just try to imagine if we do take a cornerback with the upside that these guys have, how great it would be for them to be able to play and learn alongside Richard Sherman. I think that can't be denied. No matter how you feel about Richard Sherman as a person or, the way he speaks pretty openly. There's no doubt, Grant Root. He definitely is past his prime. And he wouldn't be counted on for more than a year, of being on this team. I just think that, no, he's not a good man cover corner. He is a zone cover. That is what Sherman does. He is a zone cover corner. That's why he and Darrelle Revis get into these little tiffs online because
they're great.
Right, they are. Sherman says I'm the best at what I do, and Darrelle Revis is saying, yeah, but you don't stick nobody. You stay to one side.
You're not an island. Yeah.
So I think he would fit really great, and I just love the idea of having him on the team to help get those boys ready for 2022. Mike, you should drink Natty Daddy. That's my drink 3, and I'm done. Yeah, Rafa, that's something underrated with Sherman, I think. Regardless of how you feel about him as a dude, as a player, he is a really, really smart guy. Very, very intelligent. And I just think that, again, I think it would be fantastic. I would overpay for Sherman for that very reason. And that's kind of how I feel. I'm cool with paying a little bit more because we have so many young guys in their secondary. We've got Javelin Guidry. We've got Bryce Hall. We've got Bless Austin and potentially and very likely somebody in the draft. They need a veteran in that secondary, in that cornerback room. So we will move on, and we're getting to the exciting part. We're going to talk a little bit about this mock draft that we're about to do. Chad is the brains behind this operation, and he said, hey.
Good job, Chad.
Yeah. He said, hey, let's get crazy. Let's put a clock on. Let's put a clock on for when we're on the clock. And I said, okay, I'll make that work. I didn't get the timer. He wanted a buzzer to go off, which I did not get. But we're going to try our best to stay true to the clock. We got a 49ers fan. Dude, welcome to the channel.
What up?
Area 49ers. He says, I truly hope you guys all prove the haters wrong this upcoming season. That is a very, very cool thing to say. We appreciate you, sir. Hopefully you consider subscribing. We actually have another 49ers fan subscribed to our channel, and he keeps coming back. So thank you very much for the compliments. We're hoping the best for you guys. There's no reason not to be respectful to other fans because we don't root for the same team. What's the big deal? And we certainly aren't affiliated with the team other than our fandom. Gitmo, before we get into our draft, he says, I don't like bringing in a player to do a coach's job. You never hear that from the Pats, the Pats, the Pittsburgh Steelers, or the Baltimore Ravens doing that. That might be fair to say, but again, we're a pretty young team, and those teams have not been rebuilding like we have had to do so long. And I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing in some veteran leadership on a really young team. All right. Anything you guys want to talk about before we get into this mock?
No, I thought that was great. Yeah, I liked it.
All right. So it's going to be a little bit different. We'll see how it goes. I am not really sure. Let me get my share screen button here set up for you guys so that you can see what I'm doing here.
There's going to be a lot of picks that we pass up because we're not going to get it in by on time.
It is quite possible. Quite possible. All right. Can you guys see the draft screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Beautiful. We are good to go then. I am going to make sure it's 7 rounds. We got the fast draft. We've got the Jets selected. Area 49ers, we appreciate you subbing to the channel, and I hope that Jets fans see that. We need some loyal Jets fans to consider subscribing. By the way, this has been a very busy chat tonight. Thank you again, guys, for tuning in and for being so active and participating in the show. We really, really do appreciate it, and we enjoy that a lot. We are going to... So Grant Root asks a good question. He says, are we going to be trading back with everything? So no, but we will consider more trades than we have in our previous streams. The idea here is that we're going to be, not only are we going to have a clock, we're also going to have to deal with the proposals of the trades, just like a GM would have to do if they were on the clock. So I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. If you want to be a part of making the decision on the players that are available, you're going to need to be paying attention to when we're looking at the players, just like who's available. All right, no more discussion.
Hey, John, are you trying to or should you be sharing your screen to the chat because it's still our cameras on there?
Well, we are. I got to hit to the next scene, buddy.
Okay, I got you. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. You're good. You're looking out for me. And there is the clock, by the way, on my screen. Let me move it up here, actually. That looks sweet. All right, we're good. We're going to go ahead and start the draft. And as soon as we are on the clock, I will hit play on this timer. Okay, boys, we got 15 minutes. We are on the clock. We probably don't need 15 minutes. We didn't get any trade offers. We took Justin Fields last week, Area 49ers. I don't know how you feel about that. So what are you guys thinking?
Pencil.
Oh man, we just hit 20 likes, guys. So listen, thank you so much, guys. That is the first time we've hit 20 on a stream live. We've hit more than 20 before after the fact, but we hit 20 live. All the love to you guys. Go Jets, guys. Thank you so much for the for all of the likes we've gotten tonight.
Sean, that one dislike?
Yeah, we still got it, buddy. That's thanks to you. No, I'm just kidding.
That's due to this guy.
Sean Bennett says, Mac Jones, LOL. Grant Root says, take Trey Lance. Rafa says, take Wilson. So Jason Rhodes, he actually was definitely kidding there. I hope you know that. He was totally kidding. I'm taking Zach Wilson.
Of course.
Brad Finkelstein.
New guy.
Welcome to the channel, dude. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time, I hope you're enjoying the show. Consider subscribing if you're enjoying the show, and if you don't like the show, then that's your choice you can make. What do you guys think? Mike, who you taking? Not Penny Soul.
No, that was a joke. Who was it? Jason, it was a joke. All right, let's get past that.
Gitmo Bob wins the night. He said, best player available. LOL. Mike McCagnon, is that you? All right, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
It's Zach Wilson all day, every day, and twice on Sunday.
Brad says that he's been here before. He's just a quiet guy. Brad, that's totally cool, dude. Definitely appreciate you commenting then. If this is your first time.
Cheers.
We appreciate it, dude. All right, Chad, who are you taking?
I'm taking Wilson. Our draft starts at 23.
Fair enough. We've got a couple of votes for.
Do you see that? Do you see that attitude? I like it. I like that side of Chad. He drinking some Yoo-hoo.
John said trade with San Fran and get their 2022 round 1 pick. We could propose it, I guess. I'm not opposed to that. What do you guys think? I'm thinking more of the trades maybe after the first pick. I don't see that being.
I think this draft's gonna be hard enough with the clock without trades. I think with trades would be. Listen, do we want to make that rule now?
No, the trades are part of the clock.
I know, but do we want to entertain trades? Are we doing that?
We didn't get any offers. We would have to make an offer.
Right, but yeah. You don't say it now.
I do. We're going to go with Zach Wilson. We all three said Zach Wilson. There were votes for Zach Wilson in the chat. We're going to do the majority rule still, even though we've got a clock here. Zach Wilson is a New York Jet. Babyface killer is a New York Jet. I'm not going to be able to recap who was taken where, guys. But keep that in mind. We are back on the clock, and I have reset the clock. We are at 15 minutes. The Denver Broncos have offered us pick 40, pick 152, and a second-round pick in the future for 23. I'm passing on that. No, thank you. Correct?
I agree.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah. Okay. We didn't get any other trade offers, actually, so unless you guys come up with a brilliant trade back scenario, I am okay with taking a player, but I'm also okay with doing a trade. Real quick, Area 49ers, he says, for our scheme, Lance ran more of a pro style and would be a better fit than Wilson for us. I think you guys should take Wilson now. Fair enough. And Jason Rhodes says, reject that trade. All right, guys. 23. Greg Newsome is available. Elijah Vera Tucker is available. I don't think there's much to discuss here, in my opinion, unless we're trading back. Zaven Collins is available. Linebacker, edge. Kwity Paye is available. And Travis Etienne is available. We talked about him. Creed Humphrey is available. So who are you feeling, guys?
I still want Creed Humphrey here.
Really?
Yes, I know Vera Tucker is highly touted. If I had 2 picks right now, I'd take Vera Tucker right afterwards. I may have taken Tevin Jenkins, but this is the second week in a row where he went at 22, I believe. So we just missed out on him again. Yeah. I want Creed Humphrey here. He's not going to be available at 34. I want to take him now.
Oh, wow. I disagree. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm taking Vera Tucker. I mean, I know where Chad's going. He wants his next Nick Mangold. I get it. I totally understand. And you know, Vera Tucker wasn't there, and it would be a harder call for me between Tevin Jenkins and Vera Tucker than it is between Vera Tucker and Creed Humphrey for me. I'll go with Vera Tucker.
All right, so let's go to the chat because we have to include them in the clock. We've got Gitmo Bob saying no, take AVT. Brad, no, take AVT. Dalmas is saying you can take whoever you want, but just make sure it's O-line. John says take Tucker. And actually kind of cool, we got 2 people to say take ATN. Sean Bennett says take ATN, and Jason Rhodes also says take ATN. SG31 Black, welcome to the channel. I don't believe you've been here before. Appreciate you coming by. If you've been here before, welcome to the chat. Thank you for commenting. I believe that if AVT, not ATV, all-terrain, if AVT were there, I think that Joe Douglas would have a really hard time passing. Even if he wanted to trade back, I don't think he would. Gumball is saying take Greg Newsome. So Grant Rude chimes in. He says there's no way that AVT falls to 23. AVT is the easy choice. There's a lot of people saying AVT here, guys. I don't see anybody saying let's take a trade back. I don't see anybody saying let's take Creed Humphrey. Sorry, Chad. You're going to lose this battle, unfortunately. And honestly, Chad, I don't agree with this take. But there is a very strong opinion of people online that think that actually Creed Humphrey could be there at 34. I don't agree with that sentiment.
No way.
No way. I'm agreeing. I'm saying no way. But what I am saying is there is a contingency of people that evaluate the draft and evaluate the players. And they seem to think that that might actually be a possibility. Could be there at 34.
Can I say something right now? I don't want to put a negative vibe out there, but to me, this draft is already starting in an unrealistic way because there's no way Najee goes at 20 in my book. I just don't see that happening.
A running back could go 20 though.
Over ATN.
We've seen ATN go at the 20th spot, and actually that's a trade because the Bears hold the 20th overall pick. I don't think the Eagles are taking a running back, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is it's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody is going to take a running back in the mid-round. So,
yeah, I just I'm looking at the Patriots pick. They take Darrisaw. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I hear you. All the quarterbacks are gone, though, so...
Where did they go? Can you look at that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, we're right on it right now. Trey Lance went to the 49ers.
Wow.
Justin Fields went to the Falcons. I mean, I get what you're saying, like the player to the team, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that a running back goes. And I mean, keep in mind, Tevin Jenkins was drafted ahead of us, so he's not available. And I do think that's the situation that could be, is that like teams might want Tevin Jenkins more than Elijah Vera-Tucker because Jenkins probably projects a little bit better to offensive tackle than AVT does. Our Area 49ers asks, he says, do you guys think that Slater is better than Penny? I think I have a strong opinion on both. I really like both. I don't want to cop out necessarily. I think a lot of people feel really good about Penny, and I think a lot of people feel really good about Rashawn Slater. I mean, I think it's kind of one of those situations like Zach Wilson and Justin Fields. I like both.
Yeah, I think Penny has a higher ceiling in my book, but you don't go wrong with either.
So John throws in the quick idea. We do still have 8 minutes on the clock. He says, why don't we consider maybe trading back, since we're maybe saying that this position might not happen the way it has, or it might not work out this way. We could try to trade back with a team like maybe Green Bay. We could try to trade back with a team like New Orleans.
Let Vera-Tucker go?
I mean, I'm not saying I would. I'm just saying we could. It's interesting to think about maybe doing it. That's all. Yeah,
I feel like we're on this journey together, and those who have been through the last. This is Mach 5, correct?
Yeah, he's 6 actually.
6. We're at Mach 6. So, for any new viewers out there, welcome aboard. For any recurring, crew members, then you know that the O-line, we have to protect the asset, and we have the makings of a wall with Vera-Tucker and Becton on the line. I just don't see how you pass up on Vera-Tucker.
Fair enough. And I will end it with this. Somebody is going to fall to us at 23. It might not be AVT, but I believe that very firmly that somebody's going to fall.
Agreed.
So it may not be completely realistic that it's AVT. It could be Tevin Jenkins. It could be a lot of different dudes. One of these linebackers could fall. Somebody was mentioning earlier, I think it was Tommy. I think Tommy was saying, would you guys take Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, if he fell to 23? I think we just need to get used to the idea that somebody's going to fall. And I think that's
I'm not worried. There's gonna be a lineman talent there. I'm more worried about a different position falling, a top talent, and it's making the decision at 23 whether to go line or whether to. Who is that? Are we getting a call?
No. I don't know what the hell that was.
But I'm not worried about a lineman talent being there, whether it's Creed, whether it's AVT, whether it's Tevin. I'm more worried about being on the clock and having to deal with a top tier receiver talent, or Kyle's not going to be there. There was a time early in our discussions that we thought Kyle might drop, but if one of those receivers drop, that's my worst case situation, because if I'm in the front office, that's a very dangerous thing for me to think about. But I still think they go lineman. And I think if Vera Tucker's there, you take Vera Tucker. So
we end it right there. We're going to take Elijah Vera Tucker at 23 overall. I think a lot of Jets fans would literally do backflips if this scenario happens. So we are going to go ahead and do it just like that. I'm going to reset the clock real quick because I don't want to forget that. We have 15 minutes on the clock. We now have the Falcons trying to trade up just one spot. And they're offering us 108. It's a little bit unrealistic to take that trade. I'm going to decline it just for the sake of that. You guys okay?
Yeah,
sure.
We might actually have another offer. That might be why they're trying to trade up. Yes. Okay, this is a pretty sexy little trade back. We don't get anything for this draft. This seems like a Joe Douglas kind of trade back. He says the Chargers are offering 47, a future second, and a future seventh. Trading up to the 34th spot. Brad is saying, let's go ahead and let's take that trade. We can always look at the other trades that are available. Let's see here. I wish there was a way to just... Oh, this is our only offer. Okay. So we would have to accept that trade, or we would have to offer to another team, which I'm okay with doing. If you guys want to do a trade back here, I think that would be realistic to move back from 34. We could try to acquire some thirds, some fourths. What do you guys feel? Let's take a look at the board before I say all of that. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, I like the idea of a counter again.
Okay, we can also counter. That's a good point too. Let's take a look. Caleb Farley is there at 34. We have Terrence Marshall Jr. available at 30. He's the 35th ranked player. I apologize. Pat Freiermuth is available. Wyatt Davis is a popular back-to-back offensive lineman scenario. Kadarius Toney is available. Alex Leatherwood is available. That would be pretty cool if we were going to take another offensive lineman. Caleb Farley, the cornerback. Trayvon Moehrig, a safety, is available. Baron Browning, I think that's too early for Baron. Honestly, this looks like it's going to have to be an offensive player or a trade back. I'm leaning trade back, but what do you guys think?
I'm going to go trade back. I'm not seeing anything like I'm dying for.
Yeah, I like the idea of picking up another second rounder next year.
I appreciate that, Area 49ers. Look forward to talking to you on Twitter, dude. I'm on there pretty consistently, so look forward to that discussion. John is saying, do not take that Chargers pick or trade offer. Dalmas is saying, let's take Alex Leatherwood. I'm of the mind that I think Joe Douglas is going to trade back from either 23 or 34. So let's go with a try to trade back kind of thing. Why don't you guys go ahead and fill up the chat right now, and Mike and Chad, you can start to think about this. Where do you want to try to trade back to? You have the board right now in front of you. We've got the Raiders at 48. We could trade back. I mean, you know the second round. So, okay, Gitmo is saying let's just counter the Chargers trade offer, which we could do. All right, let's do that then. So we've got to counter them. They were offering us a future second, which is essentially a third round pick this year. correct? Would you guys agree in value-wise?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to say we get rid of that future second-round pick, and the 7th-round pick is not really much of anything. Let's go with... Let's try to get their early 3rd-round pick this year. They've got the 77th overall pick. And I don't think we need to ask for anything else, honestly. I think that's asking a lot. We might not even get that. I don't want them to reject the trade, though, because I feel like if we get rejected, we can't make another offer. Do we want to sweeten the pot? Do we want to offer them another pick, maybe a future pick? Look at all those picks we have in 2022. My goodness. Woo! Stockpiled. So Gitmo is saying trade back with the Eagles, who have 2 second-round picks. That could be interesting. Grant Root is saying let's not trade back any further than 42. That's not enough high-impact players left. Okay, that's a fair point. We could just try to trade back a little bit rather than trading back with the Chargers. What do you guys think here? Do we try to get the 2nd and the 3rd, the early 3rd-round pick for 34, or do we want to go with maybe a team that's picking a little earlier in the 2nd round?
If you stay here, try to throw in a 5th or a 6th next season. In 22.
I don't think they'll bite on that, but we can try that.
No, from us.
Oh, you're saying toss it in.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Let's give them San Fran's 6th-round pick, and we'll see if that works. Grant, I think I hear what you're saying. However, with a 2nd-round pick still and 3 3rd-round picks, we can do a lot of good things, I think, if we do trade back this far. They might not even accept this, so let's go ahead and see what they do here. Oh, they accepted it.
Nice.
So there you go. So we now have a 2nd-round pick, and we have 3 3rd-round picks. We will reject that because we just traded back. I don't think we'll do it twice. Okay.
There goes Will Cox right before us.
Yeah, I saw that. Asante Samuel is there, so we're not out of players yet. We've got Asante Samuel who is available. I think I'm actually quite in favor of that. Let's take Kadarius Toney is available. Trey Smith is available. Elijah Moore is a fan favorite of Grant Root, so we could take a receiver. Let's see. Landon Dickerson, who I'm not a big fan of, is available. One player that the Jets are rumored to be interested in is Dylan Radins. I think that's how you say his name, from North Dakota State, offensive lineman. That could be an interesting pick. Brad is saying we gave up too much for the picks. I don't know about that. We got a 2nd-round pick and a 3rd-round pick in exchange for a 2nd and a future 6th. I think we did okay in a trade. Maybe a little bit, but I appreciate the feedback nonetheless. We're getting some comments in the chat. Let's see. John is saying let's get some offensive linemen, right? I'm in favor of taking the cornerback, Asante Samuel, although Tyson Campbell is still there as well.
Do you really want to? He's not wrong. Do you really want to pass up? Do you really want to pass up Kadarius Toney here? I mean, it's stunning that he's on the board right now, right?
He is available. So this would be a really hard choice. We do need to remind ourselves that this is like the mid-2nd round, and we hold 3 3rd-round picks. So there's going to be some more players that we can take, I think, at any position. Let's see what the chat says. Guys, fill up the chat with who you want to take here. We've got Asante Samuel available. Dylan Moses is a little bit early if we take him here. Carlos Basham Jr., the edge, is available. Ronnie Perkins. Kadarius Toney. Trey Smith is available. Dylan Radins is available. Rondale Moore, the receiver, is available. If we were going to take an offensive lineman, I would lean towards Dylan Radins. because I just have read that recently that they're interested. Whatever you guys think in the chat, just let us know. Mike, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, I like where Chad's at. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I mean, there's some top talent. I mean, Kadarius Toney is a name that you, I don't, I'm trying to remember where he was projected to go. Chad, do you remember where he was originally projected? Where he went last week?
Like early second, maybe even late first.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's weird. Like, as we get closer to the draft, I feel like more people think he will probably be available in the second round, which is crazy to me. I think he's just such a damn good athlete and will be a weapon in the NFL. So, Sean Bennett, for what it's worth, he said, let's get Dylan Radins. John says it's protect Wilson. It's so tempting for the other positions, though. And he's laughing out loud. Grant Root says, I really like Smith beside Becton to obliterate D-lines on the left for the run game. He definitely needs work in the pass pro, though. And he's talking about Trey Smith, I believe. This is a tough one. We have four. This will be our first time where we have to make a decision kind of close to the end of the clock. And by the way, I'm giving us too much time. I'm going to probably have to decrease the time next round because we are into almost the third round now. So what do you guys? Yeah. What are you thinking? I think Chad said Kadarius Toney is where he's leaning. Mike, I don't know what I got from you, Mike. What are you leaning?
I like Kadarius Toney there, not for the sake of the deal, but you know, I know what the game plan. You know, again, Chad's bringing up the game plan, which is protect your asset, protect your investment. I get that.
I think we did that.
I think we did that. It's exactly where I'm at. I think that you have a top talent that's falling. He's looking for a home. He can bring a lot to our investment that we have on the team, and you do it at a price of a mid-round pick or upper mid-round pick. So I'm with Chad on Tony. I mean, I know if Chad can make a compelling case against it, I'll keep an open mind, but I'm leaning Toney as well.
And he's going to have a chip on his shoulder because he fell so far.
Yeah. And please don't say to yourselves, and don't sit there and say to yourselves, there's no way Kadarius Toney falls, because everybody said the exact same thing about Denzel Mims. He was a projected late first round pick and he fell. And it's just not out of the realm of possibility. You can never sit there and say this guy's never going to fall this far. We just don't know how the draft's going to work. I also am cool with Kadarius. I actually am fine with taking an offensive lineman and a cornerback. I know that seems kind of divided, so I don't really give a strong answer here. The chat is pretty divided as well. We have 3 minutes left. I kind of wish that I had set the clock to 10 minutes because this would have made it a lot more tense.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to tie break here. I don't know what to do. Nobody in the chat really is agreeing right now.
Be the tiebreaker.
Well, you two said Toney, and nobody in the chat's agreeing with each other. Like, nobody's saying the same thing. So I'm thinking, I think for this mock draft, we'll try, because Grant Rood, earlier in other streams that we've done, he has been pushing for the fact that we can take an offensive lineman early, and then we could probably take an offensive lineman a little bit later and still have met the goal.
I'm so happy with Vera Tucker. I'm so happy with Vera Tucker. I feel like you can use this pick like this. Like, to me, getting a top tier talent where I think Vera Tucker fell, in my opinion, to us at the 23rd pick. I think you can take a little bit of a risk on this one. That's where I'm at. It's not really a risk. That's the other thing about it. It's not really a risk. To me, John, you said it best. We've already cemented our investment with Vera Tucker. You have Kadarius Toney there. You take Toney.
Yeah, Rafa, we've taken. It's only been 2 picks, buddy. We took. Because we traded back from 34. We took Zach Wilson at 2 and Elijah Vera Tucker at 23. And Grant Rude, he's going to go ahead and help us out. He says, I'm good with Tony, but I'd really like to see who's available at defensive tackle. Funny thing you should say that, actually. The best player on the board is a defensive tackle. So, who knew? We're going to take Kadarius Toney. That's a crazy draft so far. And again, protection and a weapon for our quarterback early in this draft. SG31 says, yeah, let's go with Tony. And again, guys, this is a mock draft. All right, I am going to change the clock. And we're going to up the ante here a little bit. We're going to go with a 9-minute clock. I know that's odd. It's not an even number. But I want to try and stress us out a little bit here. We now have a trade offer. We're at pick 66. It's the second pick in the third round. The Arizona Cardinals are offering pick 160 and a future second-round pick. I'm not turned on by that at all. How are you guys with that?
I mean, I'm kind of intrigued with that second-round pick next year just because we could get loaded at this point next year. But for the sake of this exercise, I don't want that.
Yeah, I feel like we're picking really early in the third round, so you're basically looking at a late second-round pick already.
Yeah.
So that move up is probably minimal. Grant Rude says, ew. He's saying ew to the trade. And Gitmo says no. Dalmas says no. So we're saying no. And the Saints come in with an offer of 98 overall, 105, and a future third in exchange for pick 66 and our future fourth. So it's a little bit complicated, but basically they're offering a third-round pick. No. Yes, a third-round pick this year, a fourth-round pick this year, and a future third for our third this year and a future fourth. I'm saying no to that trade as well. I know, Sean Bennett. I can feel it, man. He says 1 week away. Damn, man. We have waited all offseason for this time. I mean, really, we have. Like, when you think about it, it's been a long damn offseason. I didn't even start the damn clock, so now we have 7 minutes left. John says, we've had the worst offensive line in years. We have failed in free agency with the offensive line. I am cool with rejecting this offer. I don't really like it that much. We could probably counter if we really wanted to. So let's take a look at the board. We've got 6.5 minutes left, guys, so let's stay focused. Michael Carter is available. That could be pretty sexy. That would be a nice weapon. Elijah Moore. We just took our receiver. I don't think we can take another one. Hunter Long is available. Brevin Jordan is available. I'm pretty confident that we can get Brevin maybe after this pick. Ooh, I like this. Jaelon Mayfield is available.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Huge Mayfield following.
That's the reason why I don't make that trade.
Yeah, I really like this, how this has shook out, excuse me. Josh Myers is also available. So we have two really solid offensive line prospects available. And I think that's why when Mike was talking about it earlier, we can kind of afford to let the offensive line, maybe we can wait on it because we addressed it and we can hit on a really good weapon. Let's see. Rafa is saying, let's look at the pass rushers. Defensive ends. Come on, guys. We are going to. Don't you worry, buddy. I was just excited because there's really good players available. Well, funny thing again, second best available player is a defensive tackle. Let's see. Edge. Peyton Turner out of Houston. Joe Tryon of Washington. Rashad Weaver of Pitt. There are guys later that I'd be willing to swing at for defensive end. One position that we have not hit, guys, that we need to consider is corner. So I'm going to go ahead and say, as of right now, this is pretty easy for me. It's either going to be an offensive lineman or a cornerback. We don't have to do it that way. If you guys feel strongly about somebody else, let me know in the comments. I would like to hear from you. We do have 4 minutes and 45 seconds left to make this pick, so we don't have a ton of time. Grant Rude is saying, let's take Myers over Mayfield. Jason Rhodes is saying Mayfield is and has to be the pick.
I like Rodarius Williams to be there after this pick.
The corner?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna go corner here. I need a replacement for George Fant, and I think that AVT and Jalen Mayfield make each other better. It makes too much sense to pass on Mayfield here.
So we have a pretty divided chat right now. Rafa is saying let's go with a corner. Grant Rude says let's take Myers over Mayfield. Dalmas says let's take Hunter Long, the tight end. So this could very well be a split chat, and we are making the pick again. Dalmas says you could even take Elijah Molden. I really like Molden. He's in my mock draft for the channel. What do you guys think? Chad, you said you're up for Mayfield because you want the replacement for Fant, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and he could even compete year one for a guard spot.
You can never have enough good quality backups.
Yeah. Vern, welcome back to the channel, dude. We're glad to see you. He says, take Elijah Molden here. I really like Molden. He is a slot cornerback. He projects as a slot cornerback. And, yeah. Grant Rude says, Fant is under contract for 2 more years. Getting Myers in now allows McGovern to move to guard where Mayfield would likely start. I think that you could make the case that if we drafted Myers, that you probably don't even start him year one, actually. And I think that you could probably keep McGovern in the lineup. I'm not saying I'd be opposed to Myers starting, but I think there's a possibility that even if they took somebody in the 3rd round, they don't end up starting right away. Sean Bennett says, I enjoyed the last draft scenario way better. we fucking broke the last draft. That's what we did. That was a cheat code. It was ridiculous. So Rafa says that he believes Molden will be available in the next round. I don't know if I agree he'll be available in the next round, but we do have pick 77 right after this, so we could get Molden. We could also get one of these offensive linemen. There's no reason to believe that Jalen Mayfield or Josh Myers could be there at 77. So we'll go ahead. We got a minute and a half, guys. Start throwing your name. The final name. It has to be.
Can you look at the tight end list again? I wasn't able to see.
We have a minute and a half left.
I just want to look at it.
Hunter Long, Brevin Jordan.
I think it's too high.
Campbell is he'll be there.
Yeah, I think they'll be there in the next round. I'm going Jalen Mayfield with Chad.
You're doing Jalen Mayfield. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Jason Rhodes agrees with you guys, Mayfield as well. I think that Mark, if he were still in the chat, which I don't know if he is or not, he said get some offensive line help as well. Oh, I'm nervous.
I'll tell you this: if we take Mayfield, I'm going crazy with the rest of the picks. Tight end will be my next focus.
I'll be honest with you. I feel like we should take a corner here. I'm gonna go with you guys here. You both said Mayfield. Jason Rhodes said Mayfield. Yeah, I think that's got to be the pick. I mean, there's not anybody else that's a consensus, really. I don't see it.
Dice, baby.
We have 25 seconds left. I mean, guys, I wish we could talk it more out. And if you disagree with this pick, I'm very sorry. I don't agree with it. I would probably take a corner here. But it is what it is. We got 15 seconds left. We are making Jaelon.
We got to turn that card in.
We got it turned in just in time. I'm happy about it. This was good. This was a much better amount of time. Jalen Mayfield is a Jet. And we are going to reset the clock right now. I'm going to make it 8 minutes because we kind of screwed that up last time. And I'm going to start the clock. And we now have a very interesting trade, although it's with a division rival. I'm cool with just rejecting this. I don't think we trade with the Dolphins, right?
I don't want to help them in any way, shape, or form.
Right. I don't really like this trade, although Douglas might be interested in a trade like this. A future 6th round pick by moving 5 slots back.
No.
I'm not crazy about it.
Okay, cool. That's all you have to say. And we have no other trade offers right now.
Because at this point in the draft for me, five picks back can be make the break for a couple of things for us. So I know you could look at that the other way, which is, you're already in the third round. What's 5 picks? But for me, every pick is so valuable for me right now. So
Sean Bennett says, remember Lorenzo Molden? I had mad high hopes for him. Yeah, he's one of those picks that at the time I was like, yeah, baby, this is going to be a great pick. I liked it a lot. And he didn't do terribly, but he just never really took the next step. I remember him, though, very well.
Absolutely.
Gitmo Bob, says it's time for a cornerback. Let's go ahead and take a look at all of the players that are available, guys. Michael Carter is starting to fall a little bit. He is available. Hunter Long is still sitting there. And another really intriguing option here, guys. We have pick 77 and we have pick 86 now. So we're going to get 2 players really quickly here. And this is why I love that trade back that we did. We get that third round pick, that third round pick. So we're going to address a bunch of needs here really quickly. Offensive tackle. I don't think we can go offensive line right now. We just took our second. I think that would be overkill. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
I'm all over the tight end, man. I'm all over that tight end list.
We're going to take a look at the defense right now. So the best available defensive tackle is Jay Tufele. He's the 58th overall player. Linebacker Pete Werner is available. Dylan Moses would be really interesting here, actually. Edge, Rashad Weaver. It's basically the same as it was last time. I'm not real interested in an edge right here. Elijah Molden did fall to us at 77. I am between, it's pretty easy, I think, this round. Elijah Molden, I think, or the tight ends.
I'm going Elijah Molden here.
I can be sold on Molden.
Potentially Darius Williams.
Yeah, we gotta invest in the defense too. I mean, we got Wilson. It's Wilson right now. We got who'd we take at 23?
We haven't even taken a defensive player yet.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We got Wilson, Vera Tucker. We got Jalen Mayfield. Do we have another one in there that we picked?
We've taken all offense. Kadarius Toney, AVT.
Kadarius Toney. That's what it is. Yeah, it's got to be Molden because after this round it really drops. So I think you got to go Molden at this pick.
Okay. So let me hear from the chat before we make our pick final. I think we all kind of agree on this one, right? Like it's going to be Molden. John is agreeing. He's saying, let's go cornerback. John, make sure you let me know who you would take. Grant Rude is saying Molden. He says, I'm not really worried about tight end this year. And that's fine, even though I disagree with you, sir. Dalmas is saying, let's go for Dylan Moses. I could get down with a linebacker, guys.
I love Dylan, so I'm good with that. But we need corner help. I mean, I think our linebacker crew isn't as hurt as I think our secondary needs more help than our linebacker crew does, but that's me.
Well, and again, there's a huge drop-off coming up for cornerback. Elijah Molden, and then there's a big drop-off.
Right.
So I think we have about 3.5 minutes left. I don't see too many people other than Jason Rhodes disagreeing. He's saying you should go ahead and take the linebacker Pete Werner from Ohio State. He certainly has fallen, hasn't he? He's the 65th overall player here. I think you're going to lose this argument, Jason Rhodes. I know you probably feel pretty strongly about Werner, but the problem is cornerback is a massive need. Grant Rude is saying, let's try to do Molden and then Moses with the next pick. I think that's probably the approach here. Mark says, I think Molden projects more as a safety. He's saying take a Debo. I think of all things that I've heard, Molden, I've heard that he could play safety. Good Lord. The other thing they've said is that he could be a slot corner. So this is a tough one. We got 2.5 minutes left, guys. What do you guys think we should do here? Real quick, while we're sitting here, like the video. If you have not liked this video, we've got 29 people watching right now. Hit that like button, guys. We are doing fantastic with likes tonight. If you're watching live or afterwards, please consider subscribing. We're almost to 500 subscribers. Almost. Vern is saying, let's go Molden, and then we can try to get Carter next. And Rafa says, I heard Elijah Molden on the Jim Rome show today. He was he was amazing, very mature, and he comes from an NFL background.
But Dylan won't be there at the next pick, so you take Molden, you lose Moses at that point. I just want to put that out there.
We did check for a defensive tackle, Grant. The best player available is the defensive tackle. Again, that's kind of weird how that happens. Defensive tackles seem to be the best player available every time. We have a minute and a half left, guys. Final chance to throw in the chat who you want. I am leaning Elijah Molden here. I'm also cool with taking Dylan Moses, but it's got to be a cornerback, I feel like, right now, just because there's a huge drop-off coming.
Take Molden.
Sean Bennett says, once you guys hit 5,000, he says, I'm out. I think he likes the small chat. I think that's what he's probably trying to say there.
Likes the family environment.
Yeah, it'll still be a family. You guys are just going to have to call in. Like I told Robbie Oak that. I said, you got to just call in if you... you guys are always going to have that preferential treatment, baby. Yeah, Jason Rose, I'm not disagreeing with you that Warner would not be great. It's just the drop-off is so big coming up. All right, guys. We got 50 seconds left. We're going to go ahead and take Elijah Molden, cornerback out of Washington. He can be a slot cornerback. He kind of reminds me of, what's the kid we drafted out of Cal last year? Ashton Davis?
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that. Kind of like a hybrid safety kind of slot guy. We have a trade offer. Let me reset our clock, though.
John, do you want to do 5 minutes from here on out?
Oh, boy. We can try that. Give it a shot. I'm cool with anything. All right.
Let's do 30 seconds.
5 minutes. We got a trade offer from the Lions. This is actually pretty...
Nah.
Oh, you don't like this one?
No, I'm kind of over trades for the rest of the draft, unless they're like crazy good.
Okay. I actually kind of like this trade, though. We're only moving back 15 spots, and we're picking up that extra fourth round pick. Both the tight ends got picked, guys. That kind of sucks. But here's the good news. I think that Moses and Werner are available. Nope, just Pete Werner. I don't think this is much of a thought here. We could get a linebacker after getting all of that offensive weaponry and protection. I don't think we have a hard time making this choice. What do you guys say? Dalmas is saying no. Don't just say no. You got to tell me what you would do. If you're saying no to Warner, tell me who you're taking right now.
Out of curiosity,
he's saying no to
Darden off the board?
Go ahead, Chad.
Is Jaelon Darden off the board? Out of curiosity.
That's an interesting point. Let's take a look. I don't think so. Marquez Stevenson is available. Jaelon Darden is available. Anthony Schwartz is available. So all of those receivers that we mentioned earlier in the show are still sitting there. Oh, and Vern, yeah, dude. I had my eyes on Michael Carter. He was falling. That would have been a fantastic hit in the third round. I think that's an interesting guy that could be taken by the Jets, I think, if he's still available around that time. Kenneth Gainwell is available, guys. That's somebody we should consider as well. Tommy Tremble is available. Okay, so this is going to be a hard one. We got 3 minutes left. I'm looking at Tremble. I'm looking at Gainwell. And we were also talking about Werner. Are there any other?
I'm going Gainwell because at least at tight end we have something to go into. I'm not happy with Coleman being our starting running back going into the 21 season. So I'm with Gainwell on
that. The chat is not interested in who I posted. Vern says let's take Weaver.
I'm going Werner here.
Okay, yeah, linebacker would be pretty sweet. Sean Bennett saying no to Tremble, I believe. Jason Rhodes saying take Hufanga. I believe that's the safety. Let's take a look. Yeah. I think we took Hufanga, didn't we, in the last draft? I'm not sure. Pete Werner's falling, though. I feel like he's a huge value right now. Vern really wants the edge. He's been talking about edge a lot on the channel. Mark Orlando says Tremble is the best blocking tight end in the draft. I think that's why we signed Tyler Croft, though. And I feel like blocking probably, I mean, it's still the third round. I guess you could make the case that getting a blocker would be good. I don't know, guys. We got to vote. We got to come on a consensus here. We got a minute and a half left. Mike, I didn't really hear from you. What are you thinking? Gainwell?
I'm thinking Gainwell. I just think that
you didn't want Gainwell.
What?
I said I thought you didn't want Gainwell. Are you saying Gainwell because the tight ends got picked before this? And Moses?
Right. I mean, I'm not 100%. I just think that Gainwell fills a hole for us more so than Hufanga or some of the other things I'm seeing in the chat right now. I just, he's a crazy high ceiling player. I'm not saying you're getting him for a steal, but I don't think that that's a bad pick at this spot, especially with the hole that we have at running back.
I mean,
and you got to also remember, you're putting Gainwell back there after you took Vera Tucker and after you took Mayfield and you're putting him with Becton and you got McGovern at center. I feel like it's not like you're not putting all your eggs in Gainwell with no one there to part the sea for him. I mean, we got some massive players that this seems like a good fit to me.
It seems like we're getting a consensus now, finally. It looks like people are not opposed to taking a tight end, but the consensus is they would rather go linebacker Werner here. And again, I think the value is pretty good right now. And I'm gonna go ahead and say we take Werner. If you disagree with the pick, don't hate us. We're doing the best we can. We have 5 seconds left. I'm turning the card in right now. We took Pete Werner, linebacker. And before I restart the clock, I am going to recap what we've done so far. Zach Wilson, quarterback. Elijah Vera Tucker. Kadarius Toney. Jalen Mayfield. And then the back-to-back defensive players. I mean, guys, if it felt like this, I'd be pretty stoked up about it. I mean, it's not perfect, but we've addressed a lot of big-time needs, and I still feel like there are going to be some edge players that we can get in this draft. So for people who are really looking for that tight end, we can still get them. Tommy Tremble went 105. I would have liked to gotten Tommy there. I think that would have been a really good spot for him in that 4th round. Yeah, Dalmas, that's kind of the thought, was that we have Mosley and we have Gerard Davis. We could really use that third linebacker. All right, I'm going to start the clock. We got 5 minutes. Here is who is available. Quincy Roche out of Miami, edge rusher. Patrick Jones, pass rusher from Pitt. Linebackers, Cameron McGrone, Chaz Surratt, I'm sorry. Cornerbacks, pretty dried up. Ambry Thomas out of Michigan. Keith Taylor out of Washington. Ardarius Washington, from safety from TCU. Andre Cisco, safety from Syracuse. Kenneth Gainwell's there.
Go ahead and, well.
I would like to hear what people think, but I really like Kenneth Gainwell here. That's a really great value. The offensive line, I feel like the Jets could take one maybe in the 6th round, but right now I don't think we have a pressing need. We have really good depth on the offensive line. We have really good starters now. We would have an above average offensive line with that crew. Let's take a look.
You'd be crazy not to take Gainwell. Oh my God.
I feel like Gainwell here is pretty much a slam dunk, but we're going to see what the chat says. Grant Root is saying we got to hit running back, edge, and then tight end. I think that's pretty true. I think edge and running back right now are on my wish list. John is loving the picks. He says, nice draft so far. Gitmo says, let's take Patrick Jones for the edge. I love Patrick Jones. I've been saying it for months now. Really would love Patrick Jones. Sean Bennett says Patrick Jones. Grant Rude says Gainwell. Jason Rhodes said Shelvin. Who are we talking about? Let's see here. Shelvin. Tyler. You're an ass.
Dude, you gotta look at Sean Bennett's comment.
He said he wants Tyler Shelvin, the defensive tackle. I think he's just trying to distract me.
No, I'm talking Sean Bennett's comment. Do you see it?
Yeah. I'd be in a war room eating away at pistachios like, yeah, what you said. Gitmo says it's a no-brainer. It's got to be Gainwell here. Jason says, bah. Yaboa, let's take a look. No, he is not available, sir. Sorry, Rafa. Glad you made the show tonight, Rafa. Dalmas says Pat Jones. Actually, I think Pat Jones might actually be the leader right now in votes, guys. I got to count. Gitmo, Pat, Sean, Pat, Dalmas, Pat Jones. Okay, so it's not. Gainwell's in the lead right now because Rhodes, myself, Mike, Chad, you said Gainwell, right?
I did, and I'm gambling that Jones would fall to us at the next pick.
And we do not pick for a while, though. So I actually will disagree. 146 is our next spot, and we're at 107 right now. I don't think he'll fall. He could. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
I just think we can't pass up on Gainwell here. This would be an outstanding fit for this scheme. And again, you can say whatever you want about Tevin Coleman. And I did say I liked the signing at the time. We're not counting on him for a long time. We're counting on him for a year. And we've got Ty Johnson still. Well, Michael P. Ryan's in the mix. Josh Adams is in the mix. But I feel like getting another young player, I don't think Josh Adams is guaranteed to have a spot on this roster. So, and I don't even think Tevin Coleman is guaranteed to have a roster spot. So
I agree.
Okay, so Grant Rude's saying Yaboa is there, you big dummy, and he is. Kenny Yaboa, my apologies, tight end out of Mississippi, is available. Sorry, Rafa. I am not very smart. Again, I don't think we're going to take Yaboa because we're either all in on Gainwell or Pat Jones at this point. So, yeah, I think Gainwell here, guys. I'm going to go ahead and make him the pick. Patrick Jones just got drafted. Look at these last two picks.
Wow.
Well, do keep in mind, we did draft Kadarius earlier, so it's not like we're desolate at wide receiver right now. Wide receiver is dried up pretty bad. But we got our running back, though, and I think that's still not a bad thing. And Gainwell can play a little bit of receiver. He did have a ton of receiving yards. 51 receptions, 610 yards as a running back. So I don't think we're hurting in the receiving game right now after those two players have been selected. Okay. Let me reset the clock. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the best available. We've got an edge. Adetokunbo Ogundeje. My apologies, I cannot. Thank you, Grant, for the reminder. Gitmo, let's go ahead and check edge. That is like the one position I feel like we need to hit. Cam Sample, Victor Demukeje. Shaka Tony has been brought up a lot on this channel and a lot during our mocks. Linebackers, pretty good and dried up.
John's the clock running.
I thought I hit play. Let me change the clock since I thought I hit play there. Let me change it to 4 minutes. Thanks for the call out there, and I will hit play. I thought I smashed that play button, though. Dalmas says, is there a fullback? Well, I don't even think fullback is a position in this simulator, actually. Let's see. Sample. Love Sample. Grant Root is chirping for Sample. Cam Sample out of Tulane. I'll be honest with you, I don't know anything about him. 3-year starter for Tulane who saw action with the first team as a freshman. He's athletic, large upside, possesses good first step quickness, effectively uses his hands, and easily changes direction in backside pursuit. Let's see. It says he breaks down well, shows the ability to bend off the edge. Good. His negatives are lacking in size. I like that. For a day 3 pick, I'm cool
on board.
I'm on board with that a lot, actually.
I'm good with that.
Cam Sample sounds really good. Chat, you've got a couple of seconds here. We're going to go with Cam Sample unless you guys are really against it. Diablo is pretty good. Who is Diablo? That's a great name. Or is it Diablo? I don't see.
I like the game.
Oh, baby. I hope that. When is that supposed to come out?
This year.
That might be a fun one to play in the summer if it's out in the summer. Dalmas is saying we could use a blocker. Yeah, we didn't get tight end in this draft, and honestly, I don't think we're going to get one. I'd be shocked. I mean, we could probably take a risk on a tight end later, but they're pretty dried up at this point. Let's see. Divine Diablo. Okay, cool. There he is. Yep, the safety. Yeah, safety is another one of those sneaky positions. We do have 3 right now in Davis, May, and I can never remember his damn name. The guy from the Raiders. What's his name?
Joyner.
Lamarcus Joyner. I can never recall his name ever. And I don't know why, because he's a pretty solid football player. I'm leaning edge here, guys. I feel like that's a bigger need, and I like the description of Cam Sample here. Let me take a look at Diablo. Oh, it's a linebacker-sized safety who flashes dominance. It does say he has an average closing burst. Lacks great lateral speed. This sounds like a linebacker, guys. This sounds like a guy who should be playing linebacker, if you will. I'm leaning towards the edge. What do you think, Mike?
I'm good with that. I think it makes the most sense.
Rafa is really interested in Yaboa. No, he is not available anymore. I'm sorry, Rafa. He always wants him. You gotta message me. You gotta hit me in the DMs, Rafa, and tell me about Yaboa. I would love to learn more about him. We're gonna go ahead and take the edge. I think that's the only other player that people are really chirping about. It looks like some of you are talking about Divine, but I gotta say Cam Sample sounds pretty darn good right now. So we're gonna take Cam Sample edge. We'll reject trades now. We are at pick 154. And go ahead.
Do you want to restart the clock?
Yep, I was just doing that right now.
And I don't remember where or why or how I saw his name, but here is if Rodarius Williams is still available. I think a realistic scenario is to double up on corner and just to see who shakes out, if somebody shakes out here.
Yeah, he is available, and he was in my mock draft as well. I did double up. I took Elijah Molden, and I took Rodarius Williams. Rodarius is the brother of Greedy Williams, so he does have a little bit of a pedigree there in the NFL. Why don't you guys go ahead and tell me what you're looking at here? We did just hit edge. Let me recap real fast our picks. I feel like this is a pretty solid draft here. B+, I'm feeling. We've really taken care of the offensive line. We've gotten weapons. We've got an edge, a linebacker, a corner. Feel pretty good about this draft. Dalmas is saying let's double up and take another edge, actually, and I'm not opposed to that at all. He's saying take Shaka Toney, the edge from Penn State. Kerry Vincent. Vincent is not available. Oh, wait, I'm in the edge. I'm sorry. 1 second. There he is. Cornerback, Kerry Vincent. It looks like we might be able to get him later.
Can you look at his description?
Sure. Consistent defensive back with terrific ball skills, quickly picks up coverage assignments, stays with receivers downfield, and displays excellent awareness, tracks the pass in the air, displays a nice move to the throw, and possesses good hands for the interception. He plays fast and has terrific burst. The negatives are he's small, struggles getting off of blocks, which he's a cornerback. It's not... I feel like he can learn that, and not overly aggressive in defending the run. I like that. I just think that we could probably wait on him. I'm leaning towards Rodarius, like Chad, like you mentioned, or the edge, Shaka Tony. Jason Rhodes is saying, let's hold off on cornerback and see if Gene Charles is there in the next pick. John is agreeing. Let's go with a corner here. What's left after 154? He says we still need kicker and TR. I don't know what TR is. We still have pick 186 and 226. So we have 3 picks left. Can we see the linebacker? Sure we can. Charles Snowden out of Virginia. Amen Agabong Bamiga. Derek Barnes.
Justin Hilliard's a good potential as well.
Linebacker, yep. What do you guys think? Mike, what do you want here?
I like the edge. I mean, I'm not seeing anything. I mean, I think the drop-off corner. So, I mean, at these picks, I mean, I get it. So when I say this, but I just see a higher contribution from the edge side. That's me. That's just my opinion. I mean, I could be sold on corner, but I just think the drop-off. I just think the talent on the edge side is a bit more. It gives me more peace of mind with the contribution they're going to make out of the gate if they do make it to a starting position at that point.
I believe we have a new member of the chat. Welcome Angel Garcia. Welcome to the channel, dude. Thank you so much for coming by. I don't think I've recalled you being in the show before, so welcome. Hope you're enjoying the content. He's saying let's go for a safety here. We will take a look real quick. We only have a minute left on the clock. Divine.
You're also. Sorry.
Nope, you're good. I was just going to say Divine is still available.
Because I'm thinking of the depth chart at this point, you know. I'm thinking of the depth chart. I'm thinking of, you know, which of these players is going to bring some energy, you know, for off the field game prep, right? You know, and I'm trying to recall where the injuries were worse last season. Was it on the line or was it in the secondary? I'm trying to think.
We have 25 seconds left. You spoke about the depth chart. I feel like the greater need as far as depth chart would have to go to corner. Right? Like if we're talking about having people and bodies, it's got to be a corner, right?
John's got to make an executive decision.
Yeah, go ahead, make the decision.
I'm going to say cornerback, guys. I'm going to say Rodarius Williams. I think it's a fine pick. We had 1 second left, and I got it in. Don't say I didn't get it in. I did. If you didn't like that pick, I do apologize. Yep. And Grant Root, he's not going to let me get that clock expiration. We did get him in just on time. I'm going to reset the clock right now. We're at pick 186. Let's see here. Offense. We could really use a tight end. Grant Root was just talking about. I know, dude. I would have been fine with Shaka Tony as well. We just took an edge, and I really do feel like the cornerback spot is just so barren right now. Jake Funk. Take a look at that. I don't know if I've even heard that name before. Damn. 417th ranked player? This dude knows his college football. Angel, if you have not subscribed, please consider. We need the minds like this. We need people that know the damn game, and you clearly do. Jake Funk, what a great name, by the way. A nice
local guy.
What's that?
He's a local guy.
Yeah, so if for anybody who's watching this, you know, after it streams or right now, we are all 3 Maryland boys. I was born in New York. we are Maryland through and through. So Angel is saying he's underrated, and he said the man is crazy. So Rafa's disagreeing with our Cam sample pick. He says that we should have taken Shaka. And that's fair. Mark Orlando says, bring the funk. Wide receiver Grimes. Let's take a look here real quick.
Is this your
Trey,
fullback?
what's that?
Is this your fullback in Jake Funk here?
Yeah, that's so Angel, I would like to know what you're thinking. Is he actually a running back, or is he one of those guys that played running back but really projects as a fullback? I would be interested to know about that. One mock had McKitty ranked as a top 5 tight end. Rafa gets a little graphic. He says that is true about McKitty. Dalmas is saying McKitty. Grant Rude is saying tight end, and then follow it up with a kicker. I am all about a tight end. I think even if we're taking one this late, I'm feeling a tight end here. Just going to take a look real quick. Hey, there's a defensive tackle available. Best player available on the board, too. Chad, what are you thinking? You too, Sean. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I like tight end here, or I do like Jake Funk as an option. Either one. I want that Miami kicker in the next pick if he's available.
Yeah, everybody's all about him. Yep, we're gonna take him in the 6th round. We're gonna take him with the last pick in the 6th round. I'm cool with McKitty here as well. Vern is saying we don't need to be drafting for depth chart right now. We need to be drafting for potential.
I agree.
And honestly, you're probably right. We did talk about cornerback and how many spots we have, and you're probably right. Good thing we're not professional GMs, that's for sure. So Angel says, Funk was used more as a running back. He was unstoppable. I'm looking forward to looking at this dude after this stream because I haven't watched anything about him, so I'll be honest. Jason Rhodes is reminding us that Grimes is a 6'5" wide receiver. I think we have a lot of good big bodies. Nobody's 6'5", obviously, but we have some big bodies. We have Mims. We have Mims. We have Corey Davis. So I feel like we have some good size. I don't know if we should draft just because he's 6'5". Funk is pretty jacked. I'm really looking forward to looking at this kid. Chad, did you know anything about Funk before the stream?
I heard the name, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I never. All right, Vern's saying McKitty. Grant Rude is saying McKitty is still there. Take him. I feel like that's the pick here. I think we need a tight end, and I think that he provides some upside as well. So he's our pick, Trey McKitty. And the last pick, guys, I'm not even going to take your votes, although that's kind of rude of me, and I do apologize. Yeah, we know you do, girl. You're all types of funky. We're gonna look at the special teams, and our true hero, Jose Borregales, is available. Anybody opposed to that pick? Kicker.
It's the craziest thing because he could be the hero of so many games, and yet he's the consensus last pick in all of the mocks.
Yep. So before we conclude our mock and before we wrap up this show, guys, I just want to go ahead and say Jose Borregales, he last season missed 2 field goals. He hit all of his extra points. He didn't miss any extra points. And he has a cannon leg. He has a very, very strong leg. He's going to be able to kick in New Jersey. It's not going to be a problem for him. And again, I feel like the idea that you shouldn't take a kicker in the draft, anybody that says that, I think is maybe doesn't know the game well enough. Every week, every damn Sunday, you turn on football. If you watch the Red Zone, you see games being decided by the kickers every week. And it would be nice to have somebody who is consistent. And for a really long time now, we've gone through some names at kicker, and it's just been really, really ugly. So I'm going to take Jose Borregales. I think everybody is on point with that. Grant Rude does throw out there that he only missed 2 field goals, and they were 50-plus yarders. Pretty damn good football player at a kicker position of need. So we're taking Jose Borregales. And there you have it. There is our mock draft 6.0. Zach Wilson, Elijah Vera Tucker, wide receiver Kadarius Toney, my love child. If we end up with him, I'm gonna be so damn happy. I mean, I'm cool. Yeah. I don't think we end up taking him, but I'm really a fan of his. Jalen Mayfield, I think that's an awesome pick. Elijah Molden, I think that's a great pick. Pete Werner, Kenneth Gainwell, Cam Sample. Some of you didn't love that pick. Rodarius Williams, I think, is a solid pick. We're going to have 2 cornerbacks that are young. Trey McKitty and Jose Borregales. That concludes the draft. How many games by the Jets due to a bad kicker? I don't know the number, but I can. The one that always is burned in my memory is that season. It was 2019 season opener against the Bills. And we had traded for that kicker from the Vikings, or no, they released him. I'm sorry, Vedvik.
Yeah.
And he legitimately cost us that game. That kicker, and when he got injured and was out for the rest of that game, that ruined the game. So, and that was the season opener, and it was the take flight. Everybody was talking about take flight. We crashed. We took flight. We took flight and we crashed, and that was the beginning of the end, right then and there for the next 2 seasons. Mark Orlando is saying I would be happy with that. The more mocks I see, the more I want an early cornerback and another later on. I do not like our cornerback room. That's fair to say. We've got too many young guys, I think, at this point. Bryce Hall, Bless Austin, Javelin Guidry, Elijah Molden, Rodarius Williams. Those are all super, super young. Yes, Michelle, we were at that game, and I felt like vomiting right after it. Dalmas gives us a plus. Guys, before we let you go, just want to say again 1,000,000 times, +1. Thank you so much for tuning in with us every single week. This was a lot of fun. Any more? Oh, wait, before I go, sorry. Chad, Mike and I are going to be on the channel next week. He's going to do round 1 with me. Do you want to come and do round 2 and 3 with me live in my for the draft?
For sure. Let's do it.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, Jason Rhodes. Appreciate the compliment. So yeah, there you have it. It's going to be next week. It's going to be Mike and I. We're going to be doing mock draft, final mock drafts before the draft. Next Wednesday is the last night before the draft. We will be giving away the $50 gift card. So again, if you're watching this afterwards, if you're watching it now and you're subscribed or not subscribed, if you subscribe, you will have a shot at the $50 gift card we are going to give away next Wednesday night. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Chad, anything you want to say before you sign off here for the night?
No, I like this draft a lot. It's realistic, and if it shakes out this way, I'll be very happy.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on the show tonight, Chad. Mike, anything you want to say?
I like last week's mock better. I like the old Madden team draft that we had last week. This one was good. This one was a lot more challenging with the clock. I got to give Chad a lot of kudos for the clock idea. I think that was great. I'm just psyched up. I'm psyched up for the season. I'm psyched up for the draft. Let's do it. I think we got we're doing one more mock before the draft, right?
Yeah, so you and me we're going to do basically like paper and pencil. We're going to have, it's not going to be the simulator. We're going to have our own mock drafts and we'll share them. Rude, t-shirts are in the works, buddy. I am working on it and I promise you that's coming on the horizon. Angel, we're not a daily stream, but we are. So right now we do a Wednesday stream and I've been doing uploads on the weekends. during the season, we're going to continue the Wednesday stream so we can do, predictions for what's going to come. We can do a breakdown of the matchups. And we're also going to have a Sunday night stream to recap what happened. It's either going to be a celebration or it's going to be therapy. So stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you so much, Angel, for our new subscribers. We did pick up a few more. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go Jets. And a word from my daughter. See you guys next time.
Bye, guys.